You're listening to Ernestly Speaking, the only weekly podcast that covers friends, foes, and anything that goes. And now, for your badass host, Ernest Owens. And we're back with another episode of Ernestly Speaking with your host, Ernest Owens, myself. Well, we are deep into April, and this has been a very robust month. I will say high energy, lots of productivity, progress. I've done some things. This past week was momentous. A lot of cool stuff. So for starters, I gotta say I have a new cell phone. Yes, I haven't gotten a new cell phone in like 6 years. I think it was like right around the time of the pandemic. Like it's been around 5.5 to 6 years. And I've talked about this on the show throughout the seasons, but I am someone who is, I'm up on trends. I'm aware of them, but I'm also someone that has common sense. Like just because something is new and trendy does not necessarily mean I need to run and chase it, because I don't chase trends, I make trends. And so when you're a trendsetter, it's very important to observe when other people are trying to make a trend happen. And you can look at it and go, this isn't going to last. Like, for example, You the Birthday. I was called the birthday by someone and I was confused. I was like, huh? And then I realized that it's a nothing burger, but it will be something that will get ruined by white folks that will take this and then change the, grammar of it all and say, you are the birthday, and then you're going to ruin it because You the Birthday it's Ave, and you don't know what Ave is. And you probably don't even know what Ave is. Like, you don't even know what I'm saying when I say Ave. So again, it's not for you. They're going to do it. They're going to do it. They're going to ruin this, but it's okay. And some of you are probably going to try to Google it, and it still will not make sense to you. Because you don't know You the Birthday, you are the birthday because you don't know You the Birthday. How about that? It's okay. You might be the birthday clown, but you know. But again, it's a trend. It will go away very soon. I don't think it's going to last long. But it's all cultural things, right? These are trends. But my whole mindset with my cell phone has always been, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And so that's my mindset. Like, I had the same cell phone. It was like a Razor. I'm always team Android, baby. Motorola, baby. I don't do Apple phones. I mean, I have an Apple MacBook, but I think at this point, the monopolization of laptops and Apple forces you to have to get a MacBook just because the quality is there, right? I can understand the quality. I can't deny the quality of a MacBook Pro and Logic Pro and all the software. I can deny that. They got that. But an iPhone, I don't need an iPhone. Never had one. Don't plan to have one unless someone buys me one to have two phones or some shit. I'm not going to have one, okay? But that being said, I went out. The way in which I got this new phone was not even on I need a new phone, or at least I didn't feel like I needed one. It was really weird. So for this entire decade, I've had the same cell phone. I keep my cell phones cute. I get the outer box. I do the screen protector. Like, I don't play. Like, the moment I buy a new phone, we get in outer boxes, we get stuff. Because I remember a long, long time ago, I had a phone and I cracked it and it was a mess. And that was just like never again. So I invest heavy in all the things. Pop socket, I need everything to get on the phone. I'm big on that. But I keep a phone up. So if the phone is cute, I keep it cute. So my friends and I went to the Cardi B concert. We're going to do a review. I'm going to talk all about that later in the show. But when we went, I walked and I dropped my phone, and there was a little crack that was on the top upper end, like the top upper end that I guess the screen protector part didn't protect or something. But it was a little ding, and I was so annoyed. I was like, ugh, because it's like when you have a ding on your phone, it wasn't like a big huge crack, but it was still like a little, and it irked me. And I was just like, ugh. But then also, I was having this issue where I felt like my phone battery, I felt like I was so hyper pressed to have to charge the phone all the time. Like the battery, just for the life of it, I consistently felt like it was running out of power really fast. Again, all signs, y'all, signs that, but me, I'm still holding on. I'm sticking beside my phone regardless. So what did I do with the phone? I just would bring a portable charger with me, and I bring my phone charger with me, and I'm just so inept to this. And this was something that really started to happen in the last year, where I noticed that I could easily stream something. I'm down to 80%. Like I couldn't keep it lasting long. And I was like, maybe that's just, whatever. But not realizing, bitch, it's time to get a new phone. Just, again, stubborn. So this ding happens on the phone. I'm like, you know what? And also, it was another thing. I was having memory storage issues. I was deleting things, but like it would always be a situation where it was like storage. You're at storage. I'm just like, what is going on? These were all signs. But I'm stubborn. I just don't know. I just really don't like to let go of a thing that is working. It is a thing. I am a master hoarder. It's a thing. I do hoard a lot of things. Like for example, I have a bunch of clothes I need to get rid of. I'm saying this out loud, so therefore I have to hold myself accountable that I need to get rid of these clothes this summer. I have a bunch of clothes that I cannot fit anymore. They're bigger than me. I've lost weight over the past 2 years. It's I'm never going to fit these clothes. I'm just like, but the thing is, I spent good money. These are some nice items. They look good. And to just abandon them is like, what? Like consignment stores are just a hassle. I remember the last time I took a bunch of clothes, I think it was around the pandemic, when I was moving into my new place. I took a bunch of clothes then I had forever. And now I'm at a place where it's time. It's time to let go of these clothes. And I've said it out loud, so it needs to be done. I am going to hold myself accountable that this summer, by the end of this summer, these clothes have to go. I'm giving myself a long window. Some people will just do it. Listen, Mr. Johnson, this has been a conversation. It is time. I've said it. It will happen. I gotta get rid of these clothes. I have a bunch of clothes. They're in XLs, double XLs. Yeah, it was a moment. And I have a bunch of new clothes that I've purchased because of my new size. Like I have to live with the reality that I'm a large. I used to be an XL, double XL to be comfortable, extra comfortable sometimes, but I am a large. I am comfortably a large. I'm really a medium, but I'm never going to play like that because, unless it's a large, I'm comfortable in a large. A medium is really what I am in shirts, but that's just a little too tight for me. I'm sorry. I need to move in feng shui. Like I need to move I don't, even t-shirts, like a large is a large is where I feel like I'm in charge. A large is my proper weight. But like even saying that, like no X behind it, it's been like that. But I'm like, I never really want, but I'm like, you know what? It's time. It's time. It's time. So I have to get these clothes together. So anyone that is in my close circle, because I'm not mailing anything, but anybody in my close circle, that's an extra, I know a couple, but if it's an XXL or a large, because I don't waste anything, I don't like to throw things away. Some stuff I'm gonna have to probably figure out what to do, but I am going to. If anybody in my immediate circle, no one that's like living out in like I need people like you know who you all are. If there's there are things that I have not worn forever, so no one will even remember. Well, they won't remember. So I got some pieces, and I think I'm ready to let go of some things. I have a lot of things, blazers, all kinds of stuff. I need to get rid of these clothes, and They're lively. They're florals. They're pastels. If you're looking for subtle pieces, I got a couple subtle pieces, but I need to get rid of these clothes. So I got to figure out what to do. But yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to commit to that this summer. That is going to be like my little summer housekeeping project because there's a bunch of clothes and I've just been holding on to them, holding on. I need to let them go. So I just need to say that out loud. It is an accountability thing for myself, but I need to get rid of these clothes. That being said, all that being said, um, I wasn't trying to go to this phone, but I saw that ding and I said, you know what? I'm gonna go to Verizon. I'm a Verizon girl. Go there, figure it out. I go there. My mindset, y'all gonna laugh at me. My mindset was that I just wanted to get the same phone, but just replace it. Like the same phone model, everything. The gag is the phone model I have is out of stock. Like they don't run it anymore. It's so dated that they don't have a new model. They don't have the model of that same phone. So let's start there. Even more, the plan that I've been on, they don't even have that same phone plan anymore. I never felt aged until then. So I'm like, okay, what do I have? He's like, well, Mr. Owens, you are due for an upgrade, and honestly, I could upgrade you to a brand new phone free of charge because that is how your upgrade is. You have not gotten a new phone in like 5 years. You could get any phone. I got phones that you can walk out with your plan. You don't have to pay a dime. I said, what? He says, yes, you haven't had an upgrade. You're long overdue. You can get pretty much any of the new phones that they had. I was up for it. So I said, okay, well, what is the closest thing to this phone? He says, well, the Motorola Edge 2025. So this phone just came out. Um, it's very similar to the one I had. Well, it's definitely way more high tech, but the camera on this phone is beautiful. It's a beautiful phone. I think I have like four cameras on the back end. This is so high tech. It's very beautiful. The camera on this phone is immaculate. The charge it charges fast. Some of y'all are like, duh, like you gotta listen. I feel like a brand new bitch. I am into this phone. I'm in love with it. I put the screen. I got the new screen protector, all the things on it. I'm just, I'm like, I love this phone. This is the type of phone I can have this for another 5 years. I'm joking. I don't know. Like, I don't know. But I really love the phone. It's very pretty, and yeah, you're gonna see some cool. I don't know if you can even know the difference. Did you even know that the pictures I was taking pictures with, look like photo from a 5-year-old camera? So these new photos you about to see from me. Listen, y'all gonna be sick of me. Prepared to be sick of me with this baby. But I love my new phone, and yeah, I'm fully activated. All my apps, all my stuff is on. Everything is all set. I just, yeah, I got a new phone, my new baby. So I'm excited. So yeah, that was definitely a a update, an upgrade per se. But no, I mean, listen, if you listen to all of my folks, my phone hoarders out there, go get yourself a phone upgrade. Don't be holding on to a raggedy phone. You know what? I should tell you all that about some of y'all relationships. Don't be holding on to these raggedy ass people that y'all date. If you need an upgrade, go upgrade, okay? Now, some stuff is built to last, but some stuff, it might be time for upgrading your life. This is a metaphor, okay? Sometimes y'all might be holding on to some things that y'all need to let go of. I was holding on to that phone. It was steady, but there was dings and little things that I should have let go of. And I had to let go of that phone. Let go of some relationships, friendships, dynamics that are not working, okay? Omit needless words, omit needless hoes. It's all the same thing. Um, but yeah, April has been a time of transformation. So new phone, new phone. Who this? Literally. The number's still the same. Let me get that out the way. The number is still the same, but I think that's common sense. Who knows? Um, And it's time for birthdays. My good friend Chris Bartlett celebrated his 60th birthday. 60! 60th birthday at the Germantown Cricket Club, which was such a cute party. Talk about a party. You know I love a party as you just come. You just come. The food, it was a buffet. He had a spread. It was like a pasta station, dessert station, a salad bar, an open bar. Oh, we loved it. I was there. It was so fun. My brother went, Andre went, Carol. I was like, look at this. It was a good time. We had a very good time. It was a very lovely birthday. And I got to celebrate him and all of his friends. And by the way, just an update, his brother is a book editor. He might have edited, well, might have. He edited Cory Booker's new book, Stand. And let's just say I was able to give some feedback about that book, which he received. He's a good straight. But I gave some thoughts about that book. He listened. He did not judge. But I was able to see, I'm able to braggly say, I was able to see meet Cory Booker's book editor, and gave him feedback on what I thought about that book. I will not share my notes here. I think people are aware of how I feel about that book or about Cory Booker. I think you know what it is, to be fair, and I did say this. I will share this part. I think, first of all, I don't blame the editor. As somebody who is in the book world now, I will tell you from my sense that when you're dealing with very big, polarizing public figures, the book editor isn't really the person that you blame. My critique is more with Booker himself. I don't think the book structure itself is a good structure. The writing is fine. It's not that. I think we wanted more, but you can only get more out of a person that's willing to give more. And so you could say, oh, maybe the editor could have nudged him. But we don't know if the editor tried, right? You don't know. At the end of the day, the source is the source. And Cory, if he's not going to go there, that's just going to be where it's going to be. That's going to be his problem. You know, he just was not fully committed to going there. So, you know, you can only do so much. But what they tried to do, what they did, was the best of what they could do. And so I did make note of that on the end of the editor. However, Cory Booker is just, you know, I think the bigger question for me was, why? Like, if you wasn't going to do anything profound, Cory, why even do the book? And any publisher is not going to turn down a book from Cory Booker because, I mean, the book sold. It got on the New York Times bestseller list. I mean, it's going to sell, right? Books like that will sell regardless of how good or bad they are. So they are, in the literary world that is on fire, anytime you can get a seller, a good seller, you're not going to turn that down. So I get on the business side why the book was produced, but I just look at Cory and go, why the book? Oh, because you want to run for president, because now you done got yourself a wife, you're doing a checkoff list. But no, nobody wants this. Nobody wants Cory Booker to run for president. Maybe a couple of people, I guess, but nobody wants this. Nobody wants Cory Booker. Like, no, I don't want him. Well, there are candidates that are debating whether or not they're going to run or not, and anyway. So, yes, that happened. But the party itself was fabulous. It was like a homecoming. I saw people I hadn't seen in 10 years. I saw people that, I will say most of the people that were at the party I wanted to see. Or anybody I didn't care for? No. There might have been spouses of some people that I don't. There were See, now I'm going to get myself. See, that here I go. I will just say that all of the main cast members that were invited to the party, I was happy to see. There was one particular person whose spouse I kind of side eye because of something that happened many, many years ago. But I'm being petty at this point. The party was great. The people that were there were great. People can't choose their spouse. Well, I will just say that it was a fabulous party, and the people that were there that were invited were great. Spouses of certain city council members is none of the is irrelevant to the thing. But the party was fabulous. The food was fabulous, and it was a great party. And it was a great party. I'd never been to Germantown Cricket Club, um, but I get it now. I get why people are into it. I get it's very classic. It's very old school, but in a way that is fun. Like you just really feel like it's like almost like an escape from Philly. Like you don't feel like you're in Philly. Like it's Philly, but it's not Philly. I can't describe. Like I felt like I was like at a beach house in Martha's Vineyard, like some rustic, beach house party vibe. Like it didn't feel like I was in Philadelphia. It was a really fun escape, and the food. I just remember the food was very Philly. It was like this Italian energy, sausage and peppers, all the things. It was a very beautiful gathering. And it's like to be 60 and have that many people show up and show out for you. Like, as somebody who throws birthdays and take them seriously, I have a 35th birthday, of course, coming up. To have that many people show up for your 60th birthday, to be that loved and be that popular and that cool, it's goals. It's definitely goals. You the birthday, Chris. Seriously, you the birthday. So it was a fabulous birthday party. Outside of that, I went to a spades tournament. The Alpha's my road chapter. We had a spades tournament. It was a good time. My brother was my spades partner this year. Not bad. He can play him some spades. Now that he's an alpha, it's the thing. Now it's his first, baby's first, outing. And we were spades partners. It was the spades tournament was at two locals, Black owned brewery in West Philly, which is my part of town. I was so happy because normally we do things all over Philly. So anytime we can get the guys, to get the frat brothers out to West Philly or University City if you're nasty, is always a pleasure because I'm always going all the way. Where do we go? We go out to Northwest. It's always something in Northwest Philly. It's always all these different places. But this was just easy. It was like, oh, this is not too far from where I live. Like this is like minutes away from where I live. So it was just so easy. And then it's funny because other thing too is that when you are near your area where you live, you can stay out longer because it's not that far from where you live. So you can be out a little longer. If you gotta, do your thing or whatever. But like it was a great time. It was a fabulous time. It's always a nice time to be out with the fam. So that was great. Yeah, that was a really great party. My speaking engagement that I did, shout out to all of you all that showed up and came out. It was a fabulous event. We was at Visit Philly. This was with PRSA, the Philadelphia chapter, with, of course, the Philadelphia Association of Black Journalists. It was a collab event. I was a keynote speaker for their annual Brunch and Learn event. That was a great time. We talked about misinformation, disinformation. I was giving thoughts on solutions for what publicists and PR people can do to better their relations with journalists and also with other institutions and brands. That was a great conversation. Books were signed. People are still going up for the case for cancel culture. I mean, it's a classic. I mean, why would you not? But it's very fun to see that as I'm working on my second book, how the anticipation for that book is a reigniting of enthusiasm for my debut book. So it kind of goes hand in hand in a way. Like there's always like a new revisiting of that book, especially with the times we're in now, especially with everything happening with Kanye West and all the conversations happening with, just cancel culture in general. It's been a great experience to see how the book has endured through time. And I knew that was going to happen. Like I knew that in this journey, in this conversation, that this was going to tap into the cultural zeitgeist in a way that was going to last longer than that moment. So many people write a book and folks will talk about it, a couple of months, and then it kind of just goes away. This book just continues to show up in conversation in ways that I didn't expect. I mean, you desire those things. You desire it to happen that way. Like, for example, I was at Immaculata University, that's in Chester County, And I talked to a group of students. I was a speaker for a group of students there this week, and we were talking about journalism in the future and really putting some wisdom, inspiring these students. But of course, the conversation around cancel culture came up, how these students are navigating, making mistakes in the industry and being fearful of being canceled, which of course I calm their fears around that. But all of these things being explored right now in the times that we're in is still relevant. And I'm just really happy that I wrote a book, that has continued to be relevant and as timely as ever. So yeah, this was a great time. This week from next Monday, a week from today, will be my last teaching day of the semester. Yes, we're done with spring semester. This semester was, woo. Okay, let me tell you, 4 classes, 2 in person, 2 online virtual, packed, okay? I think I had like 25 students per class, 100 students, grading 100 assignments. Whew. This was a semester, but it was fabulous. It was fabulous. My students, I feel like all of them, well, most of them, I would say, when it was all said and done at the end, it was fabulous. It was, they were great. They have been a good group. But I mean, I must reserve, maybe I should reserve my full thoughts, because this week is final presentations. Like, they have a lot of their final presentations and assignments that are due. So I need to see what it's giving before I really give it in. But so far, so good. And some of them listen to my podcast, which is, listen, I get it. Sometimes I realize like, oh yeah, they see what I'm doing. They can go to my IG story like everyone else. Like, for example, one of my students, the Cardi B concert was last Tuesday. I came to class Wednesday morning, my 9:40 a.m. course, and my voice was a little, a little groggy, a little, and I said, oh, I had a long night, like that kind of come in. They said, oh, we know. I said, see, because let me tell you, I'm not going to talk about the concert until later, but that song "Magnet" by Cardi B, if you know the song, Am I the Drama album, Magnet. Let me tell you something. The way she goes in on Magnet, she lets out her rage in 2 songs on the album that stands out to me. Magnet and every time. Time, as she describes it. Both of those songs back to back. The anger, the rage, the going off. She leaves no crumbs. You have to play them back to back. In the concert, listen, I was seated. It's basically a manifesto of getting all of your haters together. Not even just your haters, but just addressing every issue that's pissed you off. Those songs back to back. She just lets everyone know. Shots all the way fired. It's a machete, okay? It's a machete. She goes off on everything. Her ex-husband, all these haters that's been talking shit, the beefs, the rivalries, the backstabbers, the betrayal, everything. And I've not had a rapper in a long time. For me, okay? You could talk about Kendrick and all these people, but for me, embodies all of the rage and frustrations. It was, listen to that song when she goes in about, listen, a hating ass, but you ungrateful. Listen, your loyalty depend on who you're around. Every moment, every bar, I could relate to every part of that bar that she goes in. Every single verse, I have a face of a person that fits every single description. Every single description. Even the dildo listen, you know that part. There is somebody I know who's, let me, I'm about to go in, but there's somebody's, yeah. I just want to say there's a face, every single line, there's a face. I have a joke, and I will not, I will not send it here, but I want to make a reel playing the lyric and every single face of every ex-friend or foe I've had, and I will play their face on every single bar. I want to make it so bad, but I know it will leak, and I know it will be a problem, and I am not trying to be the drama for that. But in my mind, I envision every single line in that diss, there is a person that fits that in my life. Every single line. And so I felt like that song was me. I'm singing that song by somebody else. She just knows how to encapsulate that rage and that frustration and that, and I just felt all of it. Both of those songs. She said they wasn't saying shit when they was out here fucking. I was like, listen. It just all of the feelings. So anyway, I had to yell. I was singing that verse out loud the whole song. I lost my voice for that entire 2-song thing. The other songs, I'm bopping and grooving, but that I had to say out loud. I just was like, listen, you was trash since birth. Dog wagging ass. Listen, listen. Go Cardi. All of it, all of that. That's going to make me want to, I play that sometimes when I'm annoyed and I have to sit down and say, let me play these 2 songs back to back. It deregulates me. It regulates me. It gets me focused because there are times where I want to really let the chopper out. I was so close last week. I'm going to tell y'all right now, I'm going to bring it here. But there was a story that came out that there's a CBS in Baltimore that has an issue. There's been some complaints of some racial harassment happening there at the station, retaliation and all these issues. And Aaron Haynes, who's the president of NABJ, a couple of the other members of these other groups, they are speaking out against this. Some of these people are part of the NABJ Philly group, which y'all know I don't fuck with them at all. They're talking about it. And many of those people are employees at the Philadelphia Inquirer. The irony, right? They put out a statement talking about how they're standing up against the silencing and retaliation, intimidation of Black journalists. I wanted to go so badly on social media and say, I know y'all, of all people, are not sitting up here talking about retaliation, suppression of free speech when y'all sit up here and then banned my ass for fucking 5 years for whistleblowing and speaking out against the bullshit in y'all organizations. What kind of Trumpian, hypocritical bullshit is that? I said, oh, Aaron, you're speaking out in defense of Black journalists? The irony that you're doing that in the midst of me being banned in your organization and you won't lift that ban or you won't address it? When actually there was a letter of Black journalists that actually was trying to do a letter to call out the then President Ken Lemon, and you refused to sign it because we were no longer friends personally because of our own personal thing, but you refused to sign it because you were no longer friends because you actually backstabbed me by talking shit about me in a group chat that Jamel Hill and other people were on, and you didn't think I knew about that, and you was talking that shit. And so you're mad because I stopped being friends with you. And so you just refused to stand up when I got banned for another issue that was similar to this. You said nothing. And then you ran on a campaign off of the frustration of members that were frustrated about the leadership of Ken Lemon and what they did to me. You ran on a campaign for reform and change off the back of my fucking struggle and others. And then you turn around and get in office and you sit on your hands. Girl, fuck you. Fuck all of y'all. And that's what I really wanted to say on social. I really wanted to, and I was like, no, don't. I've learned that in certain situations, you just gotta sometimes just take the high road. Sometimes. But also because I know my impact, that I know that that is not the time, because I didn't want to deflect from the advocacy that needs to happen for those Baltimore Black journalists. And I wasn't trying to make it about me in that moment. But let's be clear, this is Ernestly speaking, so this is my podcast. So I said, let me talk about the shit here, because this is my forum for that. But I was not going to make it a thing deflecting. But let me just be clear. I see all that shit that's going on. And I also want to add that for all of you, your loyalty depend at where you stand. Listen, your loyalty depend on who you're around, ass bitches. Let me tell y'all, for y'all that play that fucking middle, I see you. And let me be very clear. There's no straddling the fence with me. I'm a Libra. You're going to pick a side. And if you don't pick a side, I'll pick one for you. For me, there's a lot of people that still want to act like they don't know what's going on. You know what the fuck is going on. It is 2026. Do not be obtuse. Do not be dense. You just don't want to pick a side. That's fucking fine. A neutral bitch has no place in my life. I don't fuck with you. That's where I'm at with it. Anyone straddling the fence, just know I don't fuck with you. Because it's just very clear to me. It's very clear to me. You not understanding an act of injustice and clear wrong, you acting like you want to play both sides, tells me that you will never be loyal to a person like me, and you will never be loyal to anyone. When you see a person that has been completely disrupted and disrespected and being done wrong in a way that was unfair, and you know it was bigoted, and you know what it was, and you choose to play both sides, then you've made it very clear what type of person you are. And I'm no longer going to nod and be cute with it. I am just going to go, there you go, cool. I'm doing that. It doesn't have to be confrontational. It doesn't have to be a fight. It doesn't have to be an argument. It don't be none of that. A person recently hit me up, was like, oh, I haven't heard much from you. I said, in what way? Well, you know, I'm always going to be a fan. I said, you're not a fan. And I said, it's simple. I said, you're not a fan. You're not a fan. Well, I just like both of y'all. I just wish I could do. I said, okay. And I said, okay. Not going to go there. Because everybody knows what's up. Sit in that discomfort. Sit in that shame. Sit in whatever it is, but I don't have to hold it for you. I don't have to hold your discomfort. I don't have to hold your ambivalence or your confusion. I don't have to do that. I'm releasing myself from having to hold the discomfort that other people have when they don't know how to make a decision. I've done that in my early 30s and my late 20s. I had this thing where I was trying to hold all these nuances for people. I'm not doing that when it comes to the disrespect of myself. I don't need to sit in the discomfort of your indecisiveness on any issue when it pertains to me. I don't have to do that. If you're undecided, then you go take your undecided ass over there. I am not undecided on shit that has happened to me in my lived experience. And I don't have to be around people that are playing both sides in my life. I don't. If you don't know where you stand, then that's you. But I don't need no neutral ass bitches. I don't need no fake ass. I don't need any of it. A neutral person is just as bad to me as a person that's very clear on their bullshit in opposition to me. Because the reality is that anything that's not a net to support or stand in what is legitimate truth and harm, what are you talking about? That's like a person that tells me, I'm neutral on Trump. What? What do you mean you neutral on Trump? How are you? That's how I look at that. I can see both sides. You can? Well, then if you can see both sides, then I don't think you can see a side. So then that means what? That means what? No, that means you want to have your cake and ice cream too. I'm not giving anybody any of this cake. Watch your mouth. But I'm not giving anybody any cake over here. I have cake. If they want ice cream, they can have ice cream. But if you're not getting both. You're not getting both. From me. And I think there's a lot of people in the world that don't recognize how they're giving people the cake and letting the other people give them the ice cream. I don't play those games. No. No, I draw lines over here. And I think there's too many people that want to do both. You can do both. I'm just not going to be the other option. My whole mindset is that people who are in the middle, if you're really in the middle, then you try to be the person to bring the people together. If it does not work, you pick a side. Because at that point, you can judge in a situation of mediation who's wrong in the situation. And either you make a decision or you don't. But that's your choice. So whenever I've been in a situation where there were two entities, like there was a massive harm, and the two sides were in a dispute, and I was put in a position where I need to choose, where somebody told me, like, listen, it ain't a highway. If I really did not want to make a decision, or I felt like it was difficult, what I would try to do is say, let me try to bridge the gap. Let me try to bring these two people together if I like them both. Okay, this is key. And say, listen, what can be done? How can we address this if possible? If one party in that situation was not trying to address it or mediate it, or it was such a friction where there was no way I could, then that puts me in a position to understand, okay, where do I fall into this if there was a grave harm? Now, if two people just don't like each other because they don't like each other, that's just different. That's a matter of taste. And I will be very clear that I don't think real friends or anybody in any situation should make people simply choose anything if it's just a simple dislike. There's some people I just don't care for. That does not mean like you got to pick this person and this is no. That's not the same conversation. But if there was a real infraction, somebody stole from this person, somebody did a very harmful thing, and we know when those moments occur, and you are still playing the fence on that situation, fuck you. I will tell you that I've cut family members off. I have cut family members off in situations where they picked a side and I said, you know what? You were wrong. And I'm good. I have cut family members off. That a situation can happen and you pick a certain side, bye. Unless you change your position or something, bye. And I think we don't do that enough because everybody's so afraid of canceling people. Look what happens when you don't cancel hard enough. Even the people that you thought you liked will turn over. Chris Brown, Usher, we're going to talk about it. Y'all know I saw that. It's breaking my heart that I have to cut Usher off, but it's long overdue, to be honest. And we're going to get to that in a minute. But it's just when people show you who they are and they make it very clear, either you are the birthday clown or you the birthday clown or you the birthday planner. You got to figure out who you are in the situation. Just saying. So that was a lot, but I had to get that off my chest. So I de-stressed this week. I did some very good holistic self-care things. Wellness is all subjective. How one gets self-care or wellness is up to them. But with all this bullshit that was happening, I went to Alma Acupuncture in Fishtown and did, for the first time in my life, acupuncture. Never done it before. And did it. Did acupuncture and did cupping. Let's talk about it. So acupuncture requires needles going on your back, the whole thing, whatever, the positioning or whatever. I've never done it before. Did it for the first time. Did it because there's a woman named Francesca. She's a Black woman. She's an AKA. So it's all the things. This is Alma Acupuncture is a woman-owned spot. She is a Black woman acupuncturist. Never met one. Never knew about it until I went to an event at Ask Alish, which do my facial. She's been doing a lot of wellness, like integration of bringing like people from that community together, people that do facials, massages, all these different things. And I did ear seating, which is what Francesca did. She did ear seating on me. And when she was talking, she said, this is like a form of acupuncture in the ear. And I was like, you do acupuncture? She's like, yes. She told me about it. We talked about it. And I was like, oh. I was like, I would love to try this. And she said, yeah, let's do it. So I did a somatic process. Yeah, I was a little, I get a little extra with it. But I wanted to do the full experience because I never done it before. So I wanted to go all in. And I don't know any other way to go. I got to go all in or nothing at all. I wanted to do the experience. So this experience that I did was basically called the somatic acupressure integration. Now, this is what I did to get myself the full immersive experience to get familiar with all of the different aspects of acupuncture. If you've done it before, you do it consistently, you may not need this, but this was a way to get my body and myself familiar with it. It's a very grounded, hands-on treatment. It combines acupuncture with somatic awareness, palpitation, and supportive touch. It guides the body. And she kind of listens. I mean, this is all like wellness talk, but connected, right? She listens to patterns across my nervous system, like my muscles, connective tissue, internal systems. She uses touch and palpitation as like a primary tool to really gather information. Like she touches my body like completely in a very, she touched my body. She really gets a feel of like understanding where tension lies in my body to understand where to place these needles. And I did this for 2 hours, this experience. I did that. I did the cupping, which is also a very intense practice. So cupping, they apply this suction to the back through all these different parts of the body, and it releases a lot of tension and things in the area. You can do cupping on the chest. I didn't do that. I didn't need it. But I did on the back area and in different areas where there was tightness. When I tell you, when I got done, I feel like I had a new back, y'all. Like I'm talking from experience. Listen, before you do these things, you need to talk to a licensed physician. You need to talk to your doctor. Everybody's body is different. Everybody regulates different. Everybody got different nerves. So I do recommend talking to a physician before doing anything like this. So you're not going to get me out here. Talk to a medical expert, a licensed clinical physician that can advise whether or not acupuncture is something you should partake in or cupping, okay? Do not try this at home. Clearly, you should not try this out. You need to talk to licensed people that know what they're doing, okay? So let me just put that full disclaimer out there because y'all not going to have me out here being like, I'm all about the experts, okay? I'm not just telling people to go out and do something. You need to go get some expert opinion, talk to somebody. Everybody's bodies are different. Everybody got different health, medical conditions that might not advise, right? So make sure you do all those things. But this experience was great. The one thing I'll say about cupping, a lot of you all that saw my post on social media, cupping comes with these notable, like very purplish red, like notable circles on your back. People have asked me how long does it take for it to fade away or go away. I don't know. I just got this on Friday. So as of today of the recording of this podcast, as you listen to it on a Monday, this is the marks are still on my back. To be honest, I'm not creeped out by it. Let's just say that when I came home and a certain Mr. Johnson and I were, around, it was something to look at, I guess, from his perspective of how he was just like, whoa, 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 whoa. And I was like, what? And mind you, I can't see, I don't look at my back like often. I don't really, so I didn't even notice it at first. I mean, I knew it when they took the pictures, but like I had forgotten that this was still there. So, certain things, certain positioning has to be done in the dark because I think it would be glaring in the daytime to do certain things with my back being visible, because it's like I looking at it, in retrospect now, I'm like thinking about this, I'm like, okay, I can see how that can really, I won't say scare a person, but can make a person go, It is an interesting process. I will say that. It is a different type of experience. I would just say if you're somebody who with cupping, if you care about those types of things and you care about how your back, you're like if you're a model or you're somebody who goes to the beach or you're often out with your shirt off or things like that, I would say you might want to rethink doing this type of process. It could be um, a very interesting dynamic because they are noticeable. It feels like you have a tattoo on your back. That's the best way to describe it. It feels like you have a tattoo, like a bunch of tattoos, like they're like big purple balls. And you see, if you look at anything of cupping, you look at the images, it is very notable. They do come off, they do fade naturally. Your skin, I don't want to say the word heals, but your skin will eventually get back to normal. It doesn't last long, but it is a notable procedure. So for those who might be a little taken aback, this is, a thing. So just want to put that there. Other things that's been going on. I got my facial by Ask Alicia. That's my girl. Got my facial. Ask Alicia. She did her big one. The facial was fabulous. Got a cute facial. My seasonal facial was time for me to re-up, my skincare. Because we're in summer now. Not summer, we're in spring. And so now that spring is finally kicking in, the weather's kicking in, it was time for me to do my big one. And so I tell people all the time, these facials, you got to get the seasonal facials, a good one, okay? Not these little topical ones. You got to do the real deep dermaplane, microdermal. You got to do all of the things, to really get your pores right, just an observation, I would just say. You gotta invest in good skincare. It's not enough just to buy a bunch of expensive products if you don't know how to use them. And then not only that, but also make sure you're maintaining good skin quality outside of the products. Like getting those facials helps to resurface the skin in ways that those topical products cannot penetrate and do. It's all a process. And for those who are really trying to invest in good skincare, I recommend it. Mr. Johnson, I got him on it now. He's doing his seasonal facials. We get him there. If you've noticed him and you see him lately and notice that he just really is brightening and shining and glowing in a way, that's why. He finally believed me. Because he was a little cynical, even in my own household. Even in my own household, people was just like, oh, I feel like you just being extra. He thought I was just being extra. He felt like you cute, you look good, you got good skin. Like all that other stuff, you just doing the most. I think he thought that for a while. He was like, he thought I was being excessive with the way in which I was doing my skincare regimen. But then now that he's doing it now, oh, you can't tell him anything. Like he's like, oh, I get it now. Like he sees the difference. He feels the difference. And so, he's big on it. Restaurants this week. Restaurants. I went to Bar Lizette. It's in Germantown. It is a French restaurant. Cute. And the prices. My goodness. I was very impressed with the prices. It was very good. It was a very good restaurant. The prices were I don't know. Maybe I've gone to expensive restaurants. Like, I don't know. But I was very impressed with the prices and the quality. They had a lamb shoulder. They had steak frites. It was a very cute French restaurant. It's the size of it is a very, it's not a big, huge restaurant, but it's not a tiny restaurant. But it was a decent size. But it's in Germantown, or Chestnut Hill. But it's on Germantown Avenue in Chestnut Hill. It's that area. But everything was good. The deviled eggs with the trout roe, with the smoked trout roe, was very, very good. I had the potato pate, very good. Good wine selection. Very fun cocktails. Yeah, very reasonably priced cocktails too. Yeah, I enjoyed myself. I did. The desserts were very good too. The pot de creme, I had that. Yeah, but it was a very good French restaurant. Never been before. Heard about it, but because I was in the area, I was hungry, and Germantown, that area, that whole area, that Chestnut Hill, is like nearly an hour away from me, like about 45 minutes away from where I live in West Philly. So I was in the area and I wanted to eat somewhere, and it was a very nice spot. It's one of those places that you eat by yourself. Like you could go there and eat by yourself and like have a little table and get, eat something. And I just really was like hungry, and it was late. And I just was like, I need to go. And I could go there. There's a restaurant you could go, and do you need a reservation? I lucked out on a Saturday night, but I do feel like it's a place where if you can get a reservation, get one, but because you don't want to really drive up there. If you go with a group of people, if you by yourself, you might be able to wing one at the bar or a little small table because it do close at 10 o'clock. So I went around like 8ish, but I was able to luck out and get something like a little corner table situation. But I do think you should get reservations. I do think if you can get a reservation, but if you live in a neighborhood and you can wing it, you might be okay if you live in that Germantown Avenue area. That's just because a lot of my listeners, y'all everywhere, so I won't assume. But yeah, and then before I move on to this interview I did, because you all been talking, I was on the Jesse Lee Peterson show. Yes, I was. I was on Jesse Lee Peterson show. He is this black conservative that's been around for a long time. I've been on the Jesse Peterson show before, like 6 years ago. And yeah, I've been on his show, and I get the, I bring him the views. I bring him the views. I definitely do. Um, but he has a new show called The Fallen State. Um, he's a very interesting guy. He's not the most, okay, I'll be nice. I will let you see it for yourself. You can go to the link in my bio. You can check out the episode. It's called Debate, because we did have a debate. And it's the Case for Cancel Culture author Ernest Owens joins Jesse. I was on his show in I want to say the first time I was on his show was it was about 6 years ago, around 2020, during the pandemic. I believe so. The episode was the episode was definitely during the pandemic, and we debated, we talked about the Fort Worth shooting that took place then. That was the time we talked. Yeah, it was a lot. A lot of conservatives, a lot was happening. And this time I had that moment where he interviewed me. This time we came back and it was hot. But this time around, I was calm. Like the first time I interviewed him, I was just very annoyed by him. And that was 6 years ago. We was in a different world then. But this time around, different energy altogether. And he's still Jesse Lee Peterson. If you've never heard of him, he is an interesting character. And the show has already garnered over 15,000 views on YouTube, on this YouTube episode. Definitely have gotten book sales for my book, The Case for Cancel Culture, has risen. Yeah, definitely risen. Lots of people have checked out this book for better or for worse. And yeah, we had an interesting conversation. It was a 1 hour debate. If you want to watch it and be tickled by it, I've gone. You know what's interesting? A lot of the conservative media folks bring me on their shows, and people always ask me, why do I go on? Because here's the thing. One, I ain't scared of anybody. Second of all, I do think that I don't necessarily know if I'm in the business of trying to convert people, but I do think that it is important for these people to be exposed in their own home turf to their foolishness and when it's a safe environment. I'm never going to go anywhere where I don't feel safe. So yeah, I'm not going to like, you know, Trump mania town in Hucksville, some random middle of the road town where there's a population of folks that might do harm to me in a space. Like, I'm never going to put myself in environments that will hurt me physically. But if I'm on a show, a virtual show, and I can engage these people in a way that is, I can get my voice across and get my point across, yeah, let's have the conversation. If it's an environment that allows for that. And so I will say that the shows I've been on, whether it's Jesse Peterson, Tommy Lauren, even though I may not agree with these individuals, I am in a situation, I'm in spaces where I am allowed to fully get my point across. They listen. It's not a situation where, we could disagree, right? But I could get my point across and make all my points, and and we can respectfully agree to disagree. And that is what I've been able to have on Tommy Lauren's show, on Jesse Lee Peterson's show, on Piers Morgan. I think that is the goal. I've preferred conversations that are not as combative. So like with Piers Morgan's show, even though a lot of people like me on there, I don't enjoy going on there as much because it can be annoying because I feel like it's too many people talking and I don't get a chance to really fully flesh out stuff. And I think sometimes Piers can be an annoying host or moderator. Like, I just feel like sometimes it's like, dude, can you let a person talk? Like, if you want to get your point across, don't talk over a person. Let a person answer a question fully without, I don't like that. So I just feel like that type of combatives, it does not create productive conversation. But when I've been on Tommy Lauren's show, when I've been on Jesse Lee Peterson, I get a full hour. You're going to give me a full hour to, I won't say indoctrinate, but to make a case to your audience. And some of those people that listen, they'll be a little bit, I will get a couple in my slide of DMs and go, I didn't think of it that way. Okay. My business is necessarily to convert them, but my business is to provide an alternative viewpoint that if it does resonate, good. If it don't, fine. But I don't want the history books to let me, in this moment in history, with the platform that I have and the voice that I have, I don't want history to ever write me off as one of these types of people that is in my echo chamber. I want the history books to say, this man was a fighter. This man stood on business. He merely rocked on any block. And that's how I show up. There's a lot of people who don't do that. And that's their right. I'm not judging them. But I do feel like if you're going to say that you're an intellectual, a public intellectual, you cannot be a public intellectual only in spaces and in places that only support and encourage your way of thinking. That's not public intellectualism to me. I think real public intellectuals are going out and engaging different types of perspectives. They are engaging in civic discourse and dialogue and debate. They are going where challenge is. They are going where the challenge is at. That to me is public intellectualism, in my opinion. If you are only engaging people and ideologies that align with yours, you're not doing public intellectualism. Now, let me say this. Understand that I show up as a guest in these spaces. I don't show up as a correspondent alongside them. I think there is a difference, right? Like, I will never be somebody who's going to be a correspondent, like a co-anchor of Fox News. Like, I'm never going to be the guy that is on Fox News that is a part of their ensemble. But if I show up at Fox News, I'm there to do the big one. I'm not there to be a part of the group. I am there to counter it. I'm there to combat. My purpose there is to disrupt in the moment, and then I go back to my space, to my spot. I think pulling up, whooping ass, and going back is where it should be. I think some people are allowing themselves to be fully immersed in these other groups. Like Mark Lamont Hill on the Joe Budden podcast, right? I just find that to be a little bit too cooperative. Like you are amongst them like their peers. You're not there to disrupt. You're really there to build community with these assholes. I just think that, to me, not what I would do. Not, to me, a best use of public intellectualism, in my opinion. It's not. So, yeah, like public intellectualism is going to the Oxford Union debate and having a intellectual debate amongst opposing views in a space where information and knowledge can be obtained. That's my opinion. And so some people would say, well, why are you on here? Why are you there? Well, what is my intent to be there? What purpose is I'm serving? I'm there to counter. I'm there to disrupt. I am there to make sure that in spaces where misinformation, disinformation is being shared, I am there present. So my presence on a platform like that is to educate, inform, and to combat the misinformation. When you listen to that interview that I have with Jesse Lee Peterson, he says a lot of misinformation about voter IDs and immigration and all types of shit. I show up to tell that man, no, that's not true. That's not how that works. You're wrong on that. This is the real facts. This is the real topic. We got to have people that go out there. Everybody's not built to do that. I'm a soldier. I'm there to do that. That's how I show up in my work as a journalist and as a public intellectual. And I think there are people who don't want to engage in that kind of work. They find it taxing. They find it stressful. And they have every right to believe that. And that works for them. But there needs to be people that do that kind of work. And that's the work that I do. That's how I enter this space. I have that strength. I may not do it forever. Maybe I might eventually, might get tired of it. I doubt that. But some people might. Some people might get burnout, maybe whatever. But you got to have people that do that, no matter where we are in society. You, as long as these people exist, as long as these platforms exist, there needs to be people that go out in those streets and can keep their composure and to be able to say, no, a doctor does not stop helping people in the middle of a war. A doctor does not stop saving lives or trying to prevent illnesses in the midst of social chaos. You got to still have those people out there. What I do as a journalist, what I do as a fact finder and a truth teller has to still exist in the midst of chaos. There are some folks which are activists. They're not actually practitioners or professionals in the ways in which what I do is a profession. They're activists. They pick and choose when they want to show up. The work that I do is too important to be treated as an option. So when you're looking at why this person is, don't compare me to your activist or your content creator or your influencer, because the way in which they move by choice. I move by necessity. I don't do this just to simply, go viral, score points, and have fun. I don't do it for that. I do it because I understand that there is going to be thousands of people that consume this content. And if anything, I don't think that all of the thousands of people that watch that shit is completely unassailable. Just like people could be converted or be turned into thinking something one way, can also be the way they can shift into another. And it takes time and it takes consistent resistance. But we have to have people that do that work. And I'm somebody that is invested in doing that work. It's not always the best. It's not always friendly. It is not always comfortable. But that's the whole point. If it was easy, if it was comfortable, it's no real work. Anybody that do surgery knows that there will be some level of pain, but you have to navigate that pain to get the results. Surgery is not pretty. It's not cute. It has to be done. We have to do a surgery on this country and an indoctrination of the incels and the red blue pill takers. We have to do a surgical interrogation. We have to. Otherwise, we are failing people every day. Every day. So that's my take. That's how I feel about this. Yeah. Yeah. And while that is taking place, of course, I am working on my book. I'm working on my book. Excited about that. The book is coming along. We are entering the final chapter. Oh, God. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? Oh. I'm not ready, y'all. I'm not ready. I'm emotionally not ready. Like, I didn't think we would get to this point, but I made Mission Impossible. We're entering the final chapter of the book. I digress. So, hot topics. Moving along. Oh, Trump. Trump. It's always something with Donald Trump. The ceasefire has backfired. We're still in it. But J.D. Vance, this war has been over $28 billion. This war has already cost Americans. But pretty much Trump is already reneging. There was no negotiation already. This is the first time we've even had a negotiation with Iran since 1979. Nearly 50 years. And here we are. 46 years later. Actually. 47 years. 47 years later. Yeah, 47. Damn. Here we are. J.D. Vance took his ass this weekend down there while Marco Rubio and Trump was at a UFC match. Yeah. While our president and the Secretary of State, was at a UFC match. J.D. Vance decided to take his ass down there and try to do negotiations. There was no luck. So now we're still, we're in just 2 weeks. It's not looking good. Trump's already reneging on things. It's not looking good. Meanwhile, J.D. Vance's approval rating is tanking. He's looking more and more unpopular. There are reports that he is not really in favor of this war, but you think he gonna make that too known? Let's be very clear. The last vice president to serve alongside Donald Trump ended with people saying, hang him. Mike Pence, baby. They said, hang Mike Pence. Listen, J.D. Vance knew what he was walking into. He knew what he was walking into. You knew what you was doing when you was doing what you was doing, as the kids say. You knew what you was doing when you was doing what you was doing. You knew what you was doing when you was doing what you was doing. So I don't want to hear that shit, okay? Complicity will come bite you in the ass. And that's what is happening. Speaking of complicity, Melania Trump has done the unthinkable. She is speaking. And we hardly ever hear her speak out. But she wanted the record to be known. She did her own little press conference, got out at the mic, okay? Said, listen, I want y'all to know, okay? She felt like she had a right. Well, Trump says the first lady had a right to talk about Epstein. But she is now denied any ties to Jeffrey Epstein, and she is calling for Congress to hold a hearing for survivors. This is wild. This is what's going on here. But she is now putting the focus back on the Epstein files. And this is after the president and the acting attorney general has suggested the issue should be in the rearview mirror. Pam Bondi just lost her job. Melania Trump is coming back to bring this up. Why? This is a rare public statement. The First Lady does not barely speak on anything. Anything. But she wanted the people to know, quote, she never had a relationship with the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein or his accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell. She said there's a lot of fake images and statements about Epstein and me. She said it's been on social media. She said it got to stop, baby. This is a big deal. This is a big deal. This is why this is a headline moment for me. A lot of people want to laugh and say, sure, Jan, there's been people putting pictures up that shows her with Ghislaine and Epstein. There's been a lot of critique of like what she know and what she don't know. She said, quote, the false smears about me from mean-spirited and politically motivated individuals and entities looking to cause damage to my good name to gain financially and clout politically must stop. Give these victims their opportunity to testify under oath in front of Congress with the power of sworn testimony. Each and every woman should have her day to tell her story in public if she wishes, and then her testimony should be permanently entered into the congressional record. Then and only then we will have the truth. She even said that she once sent, she referred to an email, apparently, that she had sent an email to Giselle Waxwell. This was in the reference to the email. She did do an email reply. She said it cannot be categorized as anything more than casual correspondence. She said she's not an Epstein victim. He did not introduce her to her husband. She said that they crossed paths with Epstein in 2000 at an event that she and Trump attended. She said at the time she had never met Epstein and had no knowledge of his criminal undertakings. Now, there was an email released by the Justice Department from October 2002 where she had written, Dear G, how are you? Nice story in JE about JE in NY Magazine. You look great on the picture. I know you are very busy flying all over the world. How was Palm Beach? I cannot wait to go down. Give me a call when you're back in NY. Have a great time. Love, Melania. The email addresses for the sender and the recipient were redacted in that public document. Okay, Melania. That's interesting. But the big thing here is that there's been some reports that the White House did not, like the Trump administration's supporters, were not in favor of this. Did not like this. Trump has come to his wife's defense by saying she had a right to say something. But people have argued that this war has been provoked largely to take attention away from Epstein. The First Lady is now saying they need to have a moment. They need to have their moment. They need to have a sworn opportunity to testify. She wants to bring, this is back in the conversation again. Interesting. Or as Jesse Lee Peterson would say, amazing. For those who watched the episode. You can look at the episode and link in the bio, by the way, but I can't stop. He's always amazing. Amazing. Anyway, it's a mess. It's not looking good there, right? Marjorie Taylor Greene is now not only going off about Trump now. She's been going off about MAGA. She's now going off about the Republican Party in general. She will not go away. She's now a mega rebel. Um, she predicts a GOP bloodbath in the midterms. She is completely drawing new mega battle lines and is going off. And a lot of this is driven by what's going on with the war in Iran. She's linking up with Democrats now. There are Democrats that are now supporting her. She's finding new alliances with them, which is very telling. I mean, even other folks, I mean, a lot of people are saying that Republicans, she is saying Republicans are going to get slaughtered. I mean, okay. She, you know, there, listen, a woman is scorned, okay? A woman scorned, you know? There's no, there's no way that you can get around it, you know? Mm, 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 mm. So much. So much. So, I want to address this situation because a lot of people are talking about it. Everyone's talking about the situation pertaining to the draft. Yes, there are automatic draft eligibility that is taking place. Remember when the conversation was happening around the government shut down, all the drama that was taking place in December? This was already in law, okay? But I want to make this very clear. Almost all male U.S. citizens and male immigrants, these are people who are documented or undocumented, residing in the U.S., ages 18 through 25, are required to register for the Selective Service System. This registration is mandatory for this group to remain eligible for federal student aid, federal job training, and federal employment. So the draft is for ages 18 and 25. Baby, I turned 35. Woo, baby, 10. I'm not eligible. Now, my brother, my younger brother, he's 23. Ooh, child. The other one, he about to turn 16, so he's spared. We got to figure this out. This includes citizens, dual citizens, and immigrants. Plans are in place for automatic registration for eligible men by December 26th. So this has already been voted on for this automatic registration. This is already something that was going to happen and go in place. Now, the exemptions are for men on full-time active duty in the military or those confined to a hospital or institution. They're exempt. What they also don't tell you is that women are currently not required to register or to be drafted. I also hear trans men, right? They've banned transgender people in the military. So trans men, this draft don't necessarily require, is not necessarily apply to you. If a draft were reinstated, and let me be very clear, it has not been used since 1973. So this is over 50 years ago. A lottery based on birthdays. So if a draft was reinstated, right, a lottery based on birthdays would determine the order, starting with 20-year-olds. Now, consequences of non-registration. So if you go AWOL, you do not do it, okay? If you fail to register, that could result in a felony charge and permanent denial of certain federal and state benefits, including jobs and financial aid. So, if you're a draft dodger, you can get in trouble. A good example of this was Muhammad Ali. He refused to serve in the Vietnam War. He stood on business. So, yeah. Now, if you're incarcerated or institutionalized or hospitalized, you cannot. If you also have severe disabilities, you also do not have to register. So it's a little complicated. However, those are the, eligibility requirements. If you know somebody Listen, hopefully we don't have to deal with this. Hopefully we haven't had one since 1973. But I want to put that up to your attention. So Democrats. Ooh, the Democrats. They got a scandal. A sex scandal. Or not necessarily a sex scandal, but harassment scandal, but connected. But the allegations are wild. Eric Swalwell, he is a congressman. He is also a lawyer. He is currently serving in California's 14th congressional district. He was, I guess, considered a front runner for California governor. He's supposed to be, the goal is to to take the seat that will become vacant after Gavin Newsom, because Gavin Newsom is termed out. So that's why people think his next step is going to be to run for president. There's a lot of controversy. People are saying that his career is on life support after the past 24 hours. There are some House members that are voting to expel him. Yeah, him and Tony Gonzalez, who was a Republican from Texas. The Republican Tony Gonzalez, the congressman in Texas, have faced sexual misconduct allegations from former staffers as well. Both of these individuals. But Eric Swalwell has also have been faced with numerous allegations. Now, he's denied them. He says they're completely not true. He's 45 years old. He's a good-looking guy. A rising Democratic star. He's close to being a millennial, but not fully. Very popular. And now he's being met with a lot of allegations. A campaign staffer said that he's going rogue after his video. He had a viral video. You all, if you have not seen it, he posts on his social media basically denying allegations, saying this is not true, saying that he's not perfect. Okay, so even though he's had, some issues that he's taken care of with his wife in private, he said that these allegations are false and that he will fight them. And he wanted people to hear directly from him. It's a lot of allegations. Okay, they have just mounted. It just seems like, there were whispers for the past couple of weeks, but nothing substantial. But now an ex-staffer has literally said that he has sexually assaulted her. There are staffers that have even put out a statement that was unsigned that said they are horrified by the accusations. He was considered the front runner in the polls. People really thought that this was his race to lose, that he was going to be the next governor of California. That looks like it's pretty much not going to happen. We don't know. But his rivals in California are scrambling for an opening. There's a lot of people who are trying to now benefit from his downfall. You got Xavier Becerra. You got Katie Porter, who had her own drama recently, But there are others that are now, you got Chad Bianco, Matt Mahan, Steve Hilton, Antonio Villaraigosa. They all are now trying to edge in for this race. Now, Katie Porter had her problems as being basically the boss from hell on several videos berating her, staffers. So that kind of didn't make her look good. But people are now trying to figure out. Now, Steve Hilton is a Republican. He seems like he might be the Republican front runner to go against whoever's the Democratic nominee. But I'm just I'm struggling here. I'm struggling with how I feel about this because, well, for starters, I do think that that where there's smoke, there's fire. And I'm not someone to say I don't believe victims. I'm not at all saying that. Let me be very clear. People have already pulled out endorsements supporting him. I mean, Nancy Pelosi has been critical of him. Like, first of all, there are people who are, listen, he's a married man. Those who are accusing, some of the accusers have said that they had a sexual relationship with him that was consensual until things were not consensual. There was also, reports that he was sending out cease and desist letters towards him. Towards people, I'm sorry. They would send out cease and desist letters to people publicly that were accusing him of being an abuser. He was going out to campaign events and denying any of these narratives. But now it's hit the press, and now they have become more and more frequent. Multiple people. And like I said, where there is smoke, there is fire. So even those who are accusing him, some of these individuals are in their early 20s, like 21 years old. And that is inappropriate. Like, you messing with the college girls, allegedly. You messing with people old enough to be your daughter, allegedly, and you're doing this while you're married. So here's my mindset, how I feel about this. Where there is smoke, there is fire. What I need to hear from Eric is, you say that's between you and your wife. No, it's not. If you was having extramarital affairs with staffers in your office, whether or not you sexually assaulted them or not, that detail alone makes you unfit to be the next governor of California. That's just my opinion. So for people who are waiting to find out whether or not he sexually assaulted any of these women, I don't need to wait to say this man needs to resign. Because what he has not done is fully deny the allegations of having an inappropriate relationship with staffers. When I listened to that video, when I saw that video and he said that he's not perfect, he's made mistakes and whatever, my own mindset is, so are you admitting that you was out here cheating on your wife with young employees, staffers, people you work with in your office? What in the Bill Clinton is going on? Nah, you got to go. You got to go off of that alone. I don't need to wait for this man to admit to the sexual assault. There should be an investigation. I hear that there is a Manhattan investigation into one of the allegations. By all means, do all that. But I don't need to wait for this man to be criminally convicted or indicted for that. I don't need that. That is already impermissible, and justice should be served regardless. But for me, I don't even need to wait for that allegation to be true, because he is not denied an extramarital affair, period, with a staffer. Like what's going on? What's good? So that alone, to me, it don't even got to be at the highest level of criminal behavior for me. And I think that's the sad part about American politics, that we've gotten to the point where everything has to be a crime before we decide the fate of a political candidate. And a lot of that is probably because of Trump, because of how Trump has been criminally convicted over 30-something times. He's a felon and still was able to be the next president of the United States again, like to get reelected. Like, because the bar is so damn low, we have now not had any standards. If the Democratic Party wants to position themselves as being the party of some level, which arguably people could argue that they don't have a level either, but if they want to at least present themselves to have a level of some moral fortitude that is higher than the oppositional party, which is the Republican Party, they have to act different and move different. And so, yeah, I think he needs to just go ahead and resign and go. And I don't think that we got to wait. We should have to wait until there is a conviction or an indictment. No. Whether or not he did or didn't do that, whatever that might be, whatever the case might be, to me, the improper relationships or dynamics that even put him in this predicament to begin with just tells me you got to go. Multiple people, now some of his supporters have made the allegation that the timing of all this, because this primary is going to be in early June, that the fact that this is all happening right now when numbers are showing, right, that he is the front runner, that he is now a candidate, that why couldn't it have been brought up any other time? Why now? Why all of a sudden now? Why all of a sudden this is being used to stop him now? Here's all the things I'll say about that, and I'm going to be very blunt here. I gotta take a moment because this is gonna be really this is a tough cookie, but I gotta be clear. I want to make sure I'm thinking about what I'm gonna say. There is never an inconvenient time for a victim to speak up. Period. If they choose to share their truth in the middle of an election or before one, that's their choice. That's their experience, and how they choose to share it and when they choose to share it is theirs. Rather than question the timing of when a victim chooses to share their story, the question becomes, if the shit happened, the shit happened. And I want to be very clear that if you believe the victims or you believe that the allegations have merit, right? The questioning of why now in this moment is kind of irrelevant, because if he did it, he didn't do it any less before he decided to run for governor after. If anything, the question should be, why did you decide to run knowing that your ass had these allegations in the midst, that you had done something wrong? Why even do that? Because you created the storm that is now coming to hold your ass accountable. Your ambitions and your ego got the best of your inability to read the room and go, you know what? I've done some things that's questionable. I might not decide to run for office because these things can come back and haunt me. I mean, that's the other way of seeing it for those people who want to engage this frivolous conversation. I find it to be irrelevant. I don't really care about the timing of when a person decides to share. Now, if you don't believe them and you want to conspire and argue that there's a conspiracy that these people decide to drop these lies to sabotage his election, just say that. Say that. I just wish people could just start. We're at a point in time where we got to stop being around the bush. And we're going to talk more about that when it comes to Usher and Chris Brown and all the things. But we got to stop being around the bush. If you want to stop saying, I think it's interesting, you don't think it's interesting. Just simply say, I don't believe those women. I think they're lying. And I think that they are using these allegations. They're making these lies to sabotage this man from running the race. If that's what you believe, just simply say that. Say, I do not believe these individuals. And I believe that they're using this to do that. I don't personally believe that. Personally, Ernest Owens, I don't believe that. I don't believe that all these individuals are lying. I don't. I believe that there is some truth in all of this. I believe that there was something improper that took place. I do not have all the facts to confirm or deny that he raped them, right? I typically do believe victims, right? Personally, I don't have the facts. But I do sense personally that given the fact that these individuals have acknowledged that there was some type of consent involved in this process, the likelihood of that because sometimes, right, there's allegations that people just simply go out and attack people. And a lot of times that will cause people to go, well, that just seems random, and that makes people more, to speculate, right? But given the dynamic of what we know about sexual assault in history, right? Oftentimes victims are assaulted by people that they know. And I think that's what makes it uncomfortable for people to unpack this, right? Because people often will believe narratives of random women or individuals of any kind being randomly abused by a complete total stranger that has a criminal background, and it's an easy breezy, believe them, go on, right? People want that Willie Horton type of narrative, right? This serial criminal bandit that just goes out, attack a person. And that's such an easy way of people. And when people say they believe victims, they typically only believe victims or entertain ideas where it is such a very cut and dry, unnuanced, unthing. But most sexual assault cases are nuanced in those ways. They do typically happen with somebody that somebody knows, right? It could be a family member. It can be a, professor or a boss. Like, the power dynamics often is that it isn't a case that involves familiarity. So with that being said, it's not hard to not believe this because there is a dynamic at play that would suggest that an abuse of power would take place. A powerful elected official with staffers, younger women that are clearly impressionable, that are clearly in a sense of vulnerability, both professional, right? There is a power dynamic that would place them in a situation where that could happen. Shouldn't happen, right? But it's a possibility. So when those power dynamics are at play, it creates an atmosphere where somebody could. So this is very possible. The allegations have a level of credibility to them based on the dynamic. Add in the fact that these individuals that are making these allegations have argued that they have already had an inappropriate relationship with their boss. That then creates an environment where there's shame. And so anytime you interact in a dynamic where there is shame involved, that then creates a situation where the predator in that situation can take further advantage. And that's a dynamic that's being alleged. And arguably that is one that is very possible. It's possible. I can see a situation in which this could happen. And because of the fact that Eric Swalwell is not separating what is fact from fiction in this and just simply dismissing everything while also acknowledging he's not perfect, everything about that is sus to me. And I get the strategy because to acknowledge a truth of it that could be one that universally accepts his version, right? Like he could say, look, I had an improper relationship with these interns. However, I did not sexually assault them. To do that makes people go, yeah, okay, whatever. So either you deny it all or you deflect. And I think that is where he's at right now. I just don't, because I'm just like, well, what is the relationship? What is the conversations between you and your wife that you have not shared? Because now you kind of have to. Like, you kind of have to. You have to explain, if it's correlated to anything related to this work or this job. Fun fact, or not so fun fact, his wife and his 10-year anniversary is this year. They've been married since 2016. What a shame. What a shame. And then before moving on, Kamala Harris has said she's thinking about it in regards to running for president 2028. She says she's thinking about it. She had an interview with Reverend Al Sharpton at a conference, and she was asked up front, and she said that she's thinking about it. Respectfully, please don't. Please don't. Please don't. I know that people say people should go again. This will be the second time. No. This would be the third consecutive time that Kamala Harris would run for president if she runs in 2028. Just like Hillary, you get two shots. You get two shots to lose. That's it. Now somebody would say, what about Biden? Interesting. But Biden had gaps in between his attempts to run for president. He had gaps. It wasn't like he went all the way through. Now, if Kamala wanted to come back years later, if she wanted to, perhaps. But in 2020, she ran. Well, she announced in 2019, and then she didn't even make it to 2020. That's the crazy part. She suspended her campaign in December 2019. She didn't even make it to 2020. That's the first time. The second time she runs is in 2024 under very interesting circumstances. What's interesting about her is that she's never actually, in either of these cases, was able to win a primary or procure, the nomination through a primary race. So the first time she ran, she didn't even make it to the primary election. The second time was under the circumstances of an immediate nomination because Biden dropped out and she had no major challenger from the floor. So that changed the entire trajectory of her race. I don't think America is ready for a woman to be president. I don't believe that. I don't. I think that they've shown in the polls that they don't. When Hillary first ran for president, they stopped her in the primary. When she ran in 2016 and got the nomination, she flat out lost. When Kamala first ran, she couldn't even make it to the primary to be even on the ballot. The second time around, she gets it by the resignation of Biden. And even with no opposition from her party, she not only loses the electoral vote, she loses the popular vote. No. I'm sorry, I can't drink the Kool-Aid. I will not be sold wolf tickets. I cannot full-heartedly entertain the notion of that. Personally. Can't do it. Won't do it. Can't stop, won't stop, won't do it. Can't do it. So, yeah. Moving along, media changes. Major things are happening. The AP is now offering buyouts to their reporters as they shift to more digital online production. Yes, It's they're offering buyouts. They are pivoting from newspaper. They're pivoting from newspapers. They're offering voluntary buyouts to some. We don't know the disclosed. It's an undisclosed number, but they're U.S. journalists, and the union is estimating over 120 members will be impacted by this. They are pivoting away from traditional newspaper-focused reporting towards video, AI, and digital content due to the declining revenue from print outlets. They're shifting their focus away from traditional newspaper journalism. They said it is declined from its primary revenue source to only 10% of income for them. They've been around since the 1800s, y'all. Traditional newspaper journalism is dead. That's that. I just have to say it. My first job in full-time journalism or like main journalism was first I was in college. I did the student paper. 2016, my first, big gig was at Metro Philly, which was the free paper in Philadelphia. Still is around. And then I went to magazines. And then I went to full digital podcasting and whatnot. It's not a matter of if, but when the final death knell's coming. The Inquirer is still around, barely. But the prestige has diminished. It's tough. It's tough. I mean, I've pivoted away from that type of career interest many, 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 many years ago. I think the last newspaper article I've written or contributed to was probably the Washington Post. I did a guest op-ed for the Washington Post. That was like 5 years ago. It's sad. It really is sad. But it's not a shocker. I don't think I know the last time I actually picked up an actual physical newspaper and read it. I think newspapers, there are people who, I just think it's not sustainable business anymore. I mean, New York Times is holding on. Washington Post, I guess, are barely holding on. But it's, I think newspapers are going to go away in this century. And everybody knows it. But I think people are in denial. With the Associated Press, when the Associated Press is buying out newspaper journalists, we have a problem. Newspapers are not dying. Journalism is not dying. Newspapers are dying. That's what this is telling me. So yeah. And then before we get to local politics, Byron Allen, who, I love me some Byron Allen, he is replacing the Colbert Show. It's going to be interesting. Um, he's taking over Stephen Colbert's late show with the CBS time slot. Comics Unleash is entering the deal, entering the chat. Comics Unleash is what made Byron Allen a household name many years ago. People forget that he was a comedian. He's an interesting man. You know, he's one of my most compelling media folks. I've always wanted to meet him, which I've met him twice, both times at the Grammys, both times back to back at the Clive Davis party. And I saw him again. This time we got to really get to like kind of hang out a little bit. At the Grammys, we was at Clive Davis party. I was at the reception and we got to really kick it and things. And I let him know how much of a fan I am of his work. And he's just one of my more interesting people. I always said I always want to meet Oprah, which of course I got to meet Oprah, and I wanted to meet him. I got to meet my two media heroes. Both of them just are fascinating people to me. I'm just, like I get it. You know, people are people, but like they are just kick asses. They're just rock stars to me. They're just interesting people. They're more than just the media moguls, right? They're just what they do to society. So Byron Allen said, you know, in a statement that he created and launched Comics Unleashed 20 years ago, so my fellow comedians could have a platform to do what we all love, make people laugh. I truly appreciate CBS's confidence in me by picking up our 2-hour comedy block of Comics Unleashed and Funny You Should Ask, because the world can never have enough laughter. So a lot of people are feeling some type of way about Stephen Colbert's show going. I hear that. You know, I get it. I'm struggling between these two thoughts about them. One, I recognize that it is very nasty and evil that the Colbert Show is being taken out because of him being outspoken against Trump. And some people want to make the argument that, you know, it is a free speech capitulation that's happening with CBS and how they're handling him. Heard. They're arguing that, you know, Comics Unleashed, who wants to hear that? Is it going to be funny? You know, this is, you know, a way to, you know, tamper down the temperature. It's a sellout, it's a cop-out, it's this, that, and the third. For starters, we don't know how this is going to play out, right? They think it's going to be safe. It's going to be a distraction from the topics. That's one argument, right? Okay, cool. But I'm also going to say this, that all of these late night show men, these older white men that have dominated late night TV, they've never really stood out and advocated hard for any of the black or women programs. You know, Samantha Bee's show gets cut. You didn't see any of them willing to give up a slot or make space or make room for women, right? None of these white men did that. Or, you know, Arsenio Hall wanted to have a moment, right? And look what happened to Arsenio. And so there has been a total lack of diversity in the late night show space and arena. And listen, Jimmy Kimmel, you know, had his moment, right? Stephen Colbert, Jimmy Fallon out here. You know, these white guys have basically dominated late night TV for decades. And they've never advocated or demanded new opportunities for women or for, you know, people of color to have a seat at those tables. They took their millions upon millions of dollars, and yet they every blue moon they'll decide to speak up and say some things, and they get to be the heroes. Man, fuck that. I feel like, you know what, Byron, do your thing. Do your thing. I'm not mad at it. I'm not that mad at it. I understand the political climate of it, but at some point in time, I want to see what the brother gonna do. I want to see what Byron's going to do with this platform. We don't know how it's going to play out, but I do think having a 2-hour slot, I am interested to see comics unleashed in a new way, right? Women, people of color, let me see them late at night. Because I'm actually tired of the humdrum of the same old with these white men on late night TV. Jimmy Kimmel and his crying and his complaining and his political talk. Okay. But then you know, it's like, all right. But then it's like, it's funny how all of a sudden they want to be those bastions of free speech and advocacy when it's their shit. But you never saw these guys really standing up and doing it for everybody else. So now when your show's under attack, now when you're facing censorship, now all of a sudden, you know, you need the people to stand up for you. Man, get out of here. They're going to be rich. They're going to be fine. They're going to move on. They're going to get jobs. But, you know, how was it for Arsenio? Did anybody look out for Arsenio, make sure he was good? Did any of these white late night show guys go out their way to make sure that this brother had a job or had new opportunities or spoke out about what happened and how it was you didn't see that with them. They got their money, they replaced and they moved on. So I'm not really in the business personally of being so quick to whine and complain, because every time we never hear of black people replacing white folks. Oh, you know, unless there's a shit show. We got to clean up their mess, right? And then even then, everybody goes up in arms. No, I'm good on it. Let that brother have a shot. That's my take. So in local politics, the federal judge basically has said that when it comes to these damn panels that are over there, you know, the ones in the president's house, they got to go back to the original way. There was some sanitation of language pertaining to those panels that was talked about, that the Trump administration and people tried to really downplay the role of slavery and try to do it. Apparently, the federal judge has ordered that the panels need to be back to the original way to which they were. They cannot alter or change them. We'll see how that plays out. Now, there is some drama brewing up right now around Chester and this trash issue. Jamie Gauthier, my city council member, is really fighting against Philadelphia dumping its trash in Chester County. This was an issue that really blew up, no pun intended, took place during the 2023 mayoral primary, Democratic primary. This was when Jeff Brown, you know, was accused of racism for how he described dumping trash in Chester and what kind of neighborhood it was. And it created a bunch of controversy because people felt like the way in which he described that area and where it was at, it was problematic, right? People like Helen Gim, and including then candidate Sherelle Parker, really spoke out against his language and really dismissed it. Now, years later, Gauthier wants to hold, you know, Parker accountable for her words by arguing that, hey, what are you doing to address this Chester situation? That there needs to be some type of legislative change regarding this. So during the recent budget hearings, which have been going on since March 12th, Gauthier and Rulandau have been pushing legislation pertaining to this issue in Chester County. Chester County is a predominantly Black area outside of Philadelphia. There is a lot of pollution that's been happening over there because of the fact that the city sends 40% of its trash to these incinerators. They're called Reworld, which used to be called Convanata, but they're basically a waste to energy facility in Chester. And Chester is a majority Black city. And so for this air pollution that has had a negative impact on Chester residents, this is pretty much environmental racism, like, period. And so she's been speaking out against this because this is the same issue that kind of came up with, you know, 3 years ago when it was a debate amongst Jeff Brown, Parker, and all the other mayoral candidates during the Democratic primary. They're trying to get this done. This contract is supposed to be up for renewal in June. It expires. They have a 7-year contract with Reworld that expires on June 30th and would have to be renewed by then. So there has been interest from city council members to basically stop this contract. They want to bar Philadelphia from contracting with any of these incinerators, not just only Reworld, but just any of these because of the environmental harms they cause, right? Now, the problem is that the park administration does not support this. And we don't know yet when this will go up for a vote. However, there are other officials that are saying that taking the waste to landfills instead would cost an additional $6 million a year. Okay. I mean, you want to burn it in a black neighborhood, a black city, where they have to deal with the pollution and deal with the environmental harm? Y'all got $6 million for other stuff. Take out the police budget. Oh, that's right. You can't afford to. Or what, they're going to tax us for that? They'll just, increase the tax, add a new tax. I think for me, I don't care spending an extra $6 million to prevent environmental harm in a black city. But these are the priorities. These are the priorities, right? So what's made this even more complicated is that during a hearing last week, Carlton Williams, who was the director of the Green Initiatives, said that clarified that this new contract would be for 4 years with a 3-year renewal option. So it want to be 7 years is what he's claiming. He also said that, he gave the impression, and this is what caused some like a kerfuffle during the hearing, is that he mentioned that the city had requested a 1-year extension of the current contract. And that was news because none of us heard about this. So Gautier was like shook. Other people in the city council was like, when did this happen, right? And so Gautier has said on the record, was like, this is the first time I'm hearing you request an extension. And then Rulandahl, who co-sponsored the bill, even clapped back and said, I would just ask that you come to the table a little more directly. If you asked for a 1-year extension of the contract, you could have just started right there. Like, this is the shit that annoys me with, like, the Park administration, is that there's always these little surprises and little things that they drop from the sky. Now, to be clear, he further clarified that they have not yet asked Reworld for a 1-year extension, because this extension would have potentially given them time to figure out how they want to switch to other, situations of disposal. Like, rather than committing to the incinerators, they could basically be able to say, you know what, hey, with this extension, in that time that they're asking for that 1-year extension, they can use this time to say, let's figure this out rather than being forced, right? Because right now, they got to the end of June. But if they ask for a 1-year extension, rather than having to commit to an entire 4-year, 3-year, they don't have to do that. 1-year extension to figure it out, and then at that point, decide whether they want to go full throttle or not. I just don't know. I don't trust it. I'm with Gautier and Rue. I'm here with the people in City Council. I think we need to just go ahead and figure this out. This is not okay. If it was happening in Philadelphia by another city nearby, we would not be okay with it. So why is it okay for it to happen in Chester? I don't know if Chester was, another area. Maybe if it was if it was the county, maybe if it was some other neighborhood, Glenland, right? Or Ardmore or Northbeth. Maybe it's Narbeth. Maybe if it was over there, would we have a different conversation if it was Narbeth or Ardmore or any of those other areas? The conversation would be different, and we know why. We know why. So, yeah. Park administration is claiming that they have the popular opinion, the public opinion on their side when it comes to this. That Uber is launching a very serious campaign. We talked about this a little bit last week, but Uber is definitely launching a major campaign against this. They're lobbying hard, an all out pressure campaign. Many people are saying. The Parker administration thinks that they have the public opinion on their side. There was some recent poll that came out that apparently claims that a majority of Democratic primary voters in Philadelphia approved the tax. I just want to be clear, I was not polled. I was not polled. Yeah, I was not polled. So I don't even know what that can even look like. But that's what she's claiming. She said that a recent poll of Democratic primary voters found that 60% of them approved the tax and 35% disapproved, according to a poll memo that was obtained by the Philadelphia Inquirer. Now, this survey was conducted by Brilliant Corners Research and Strategies and was paid for by the Parker campaign arm. Now, they said support for the tax was strongest among progressives who have traditionally not been a part of the Parker's political base. That's what they're claiming. That's what the poll is saying. A poll that the mayor's campaign team paid for. You take that how you feel about it. There's already a tax already taking place right now. This is a fee that is paid by riders imposed by the Philadelphia Parking Authority. It's the PPA. 2/3 of the revenue goes to the school district. Rideshare services like Uber and Lyft are being taxed 1.4% in Philadelphia already. Uber has sent out messages, I am an Uber rider, that have shared like images of what that will look like. So right now, if you get a fare in Philadelphia, you will get a warning that will say, learn more about Mayor Parker's proposed tax that will make your trips more expensive. So I'm looking at it right now. There was a ride fare that was not, they shared this image, a screenshot of the messaging to Philadelphia Uber users about it. So the Uber has sent this. They shared an example of it. Their total was $12.94. The trip fare currently is $9.44. The booking fee is $1.35. Then the Philadelphia, TNC assessment fee is 15 cents. Then the tip is $2. Arguably, your ride goes from $9.44 to now $12.94. If the tip was $2, it would be a $2 increase, right? Now it's $1 per ride. You'll have to add a new dollar on that trip, and that's including the tip if you're given a $2 tip, right? So you're already paying $12.94 already. If you was to add $1 added, that's now $13.94. So what would with a tip, a $2 tip, if you want to add a $2 tip for your Uber driver, a trip that initially starts at $9.44 is now going to be, with that tip, $13.94. That's crazy. That's crazy. right? So I don't know how I feel about that poll. I think that poll's a little sus. I have questions about it. One, how many people did you all poll? Because numbers do matter. Like, did you all poll 100 people? Did you all poll a couple of hundreds of folks? Like, did you poll 10 people and go, 6 people liked it? Where did you poll? What neighborhoods did you poll them from? It's a lot of questions. Like, what were their education levels? There's a lot of questions that I have about that poll. I don't think the mayor has public opinion on her side. I think that poll is skewed. Do you know how many polls have come out lately, y'all, that have tried to frame things one way or the other? I can't tell you how many polls have come out, even during mayoral races, that tried to suggest support for things and it wasn't adding up. I wonder if there's another group that did the poll. Anybody can do polls and skew them any kind of way with data. I'm just very, if it's not a community focus led poll, I'm very sus about it. Like if a publication or a community group did a all hands on deck, everybody, a general survey thing, I'm very skeptical about polls like that. Weird. But here we are. So lastly, in Philadelphia, there's been a lot of talk. I shared this on social. It's been very sad. There's been 2 major incidents that took place with CHOP and at Grays Ferry. There was a parking garage demolition situation that took. First of all, the Grays Ferry parking garage did a demolition following that deadly collapse that took place over there. Then there was one at a parking garage at CHOP, like back to back. People have lost their lives. It's sad. A worker has died at the hospital. 2 are injured. 2 more remain missing to the point that people suspect that this person may have died. These are serious tragedies. When this first happened, and this brings me to my Ask Ernest portion about media literacy and expectations. I talked about this on my Instagram a couple of days ago, but I want to talk about it here. It's very tragic and it's unfortunate. And I want to name this because so much has happened. There were a lot of people that wanted an instant reaction from me on this, like wanted me to say something, speak out. What does this mean? People was DMing me with their own conspiracy theories and notions about this, that, and the third. And I'm very sensitive about tragedies like this because these are accidents. These were not things that were intentional. Yes, something could have been, wrong with the way in which the building, whatever. But when there are clear tragedies, I want to remind people and I want to tell people that I am not your reactionary dog that's going to comfort your suspicions and your biases about things at the snap of a finger. And I used to get annoyed and offended when people did that to me, it is annoying. But I had to take a step back and say, this is where we are with media literacy and consumption. When I look on my timeline, I often see there are journalism, news outlets, right, that are reporting the news, waiting for updates. But I'm also seeing a space where there's a lot of content creators and influencers, whatever, that are quick to give these quote unquote hot takes and reactions to things. And mind you, there's a place for that, right? When we're talking about pop culture and celebrity stuff that's silly, non-essential news is what I'm going to call it. Non-essential news. If you want to give a hot take or whatever you want, you saw the Oscars and somebody lost and you ready to, give your hot take or give an opinion, that's cool, right? Non-essential news, right? Because that's the way I want to frame this. That's fine. I do it all the time. Stuff that's not Insignificant, I'll give you that was a hot ass mess of a performance. I don't really like that movie. Or that's fine. That's not essential to your daily life. My opinion and my take on that is not going to impact your daily living. But when we're dealing with tragedies that are public concerns, deaths, killings, a shooting, a health emergency, any policies, especially in the midst of tragedies, right? To give a quick hot take or to give a quick reaction to something that's significant is a disservice. It's a public disservice. It's irresponsible. It's problematic. And it does not foster a level of trust and credibility in our society. And I'm just being dead ass. And I think what's been frustrating is that because so many people do this, the internet has lost any type of moral high ground. Like, people are just so quick to give these things and say stuff out loud. I'm just like, do you not consider the families impacted by this? Do you not consider other people, institutions, people that are liable for these things? Do you not consider how that is fueling problems, that are worse? Does not help heal. It offers anything. And so I get annoyed when I get people that get in my DMs and go, thoughts, what's your take on this? And I tell them, first of all, this literally just fucking happened. What fucking thoughts would I have outside of that is very tragic and unfortunate? Like, what are you expecting me to say? Because words matter. You said thoughts. You didn't say, hey, did you have any updates, or did you have is there any updates, or where can I find? No one's asking those questions. People are asking your take, your thoughts. There's not been enough time to have a take, at least an informed take. I mean, there's not enough time to have a formed take. I guess one could just say anything. So I saw people online that were ready to throw shots at the Park administration, saying things like, "Oh, this is the city's fault for whatever, union workers." This, I'm like, whoa. What is going on here? Like, that's what we're getting out of that. That's the quick knee jerk. Like, I'm trying to understand how did we get into a conversation about union workers or the respective union workers? Like, where have the union workers been disrespected by the administration in this regard? There hasn't been anything done. Like, people are trying to get their facts together. Like, what are we doing right now? And so I just recognize that there are people that will want you to fight their battles for them because they don't have the courage to stand alone, or they want people to enable their biggest, deepest, darkest thoughts about things. So that's how you feel about this situation. Okay. But don't think that someone like myself is going to embolden your suspicions just because you have a reaction that you want to see amplified. That's not how this works. Journalists are not supposed to be in the business of validating suspicions. They're supposed to validate facts and confirm details. Like, that's what we do. And in the internet, there are pick-me's, clout chasers, and those who are not journalists that are in the business of basically energizing the biases of others that they want to validate their presence on the internet. They want followers. They want money. This is a grift, okay? We see everyone do it. Democrats do it. Republicans do it. Everybody do it, right? Where they say whatever they can to stroke the fear and the suspicions or the interests of their quote-unquote followers. And so now people don't consider maybe the team or the person or whatever, right, that you don't agree with may have done this the right way, or maybe have been the most responsive. I don't treat politics like teams. I think the stand culture of it all, which I dig to in this part of the book, has gotten people to a point where they just don't even see the humanity of folks, or they don't even consider, hey, listen, a person could be bad at one thing but better at another. I thought the Park administration in this regard was probably the most communicative and vocal than they've been in other instances. And there's a lot of reasons for it. One, I think, is because this is an incident that does not involve the Parker directly. And so I think that they are stronger when they're addressing issues that don't directly impact them and their reputation, or the mayor's reputation. So if the mayor's under fire, I notice the way in which he handles things is a lot more deflective and dismissive. But when there are instances that does not necessarily put her administration directly accountable, right? This was a tragedy. This is something that I just think it's inappropriate to blame the mayor. You can't blame the mayor for this. You just can't. And I think it's heartless too. I think the goal here, until we find out more details, is to have empathy and keep the family in your thoughts and prayers. Some people say, what are your thoughts? My thoughts are with prayers for these families who have loved ones that are missing, that most likely are dead, that have lost, have confirmed deaths. Like, to me, that's my thoughts. My thoughts and prayers are with those who've lost their lives. And I just hope that there is an increased level of safety and protection for those constructive workers at those sites. That's what I got. Period. So I want to move on to this week's Ask Ernest, which combines this conversation around media literacy and news expectations. It puts it all in perspective here. I'm at a space now where I am at a point where I think we as a society need to reevaluate what we're looking for and asking for from different spaces. Content creators are in the business of stroking fear, paranoia, and doom scrolling. Journalists are in the space, at least on my end, of providing a level of clarity, facts, and explanations. We're not here to trauma bond. I have found that some of my followers, because I've gotten over 20,000 now, that when you enter this new territory of new followers, there's people that want to have a connection with you. And I don't want to say parasocial, because that might be too far, but there has been moments where they want to trauma bond with you over what's happening in the world. I'm sorry, I don't have time to doom scroll. I don't have time to pity myself and do that shit. Like, you go do that with somebody else. I don't have time to fucking do it with you. That's not what my page is for. That's not what my platform is for. I don't have it. I don't. And I think there's people who are looking for people to be in misery company with. I'm not that bitch. I'm just not. I'm not that person. I'm not the person that you can go crying to and think, I just don't have the time for that. Like, I want to survive. And if I wanted to give it all up, I would have just given it all up the day after the 2024 election. I'm choosing to live. I'm choosing to fight. I'm choosing to navigate this. I don't have time to doom scroll. I don't have time to woe is I. I don't. If I'm choosing to live, that means I am choosing to pursue all the things. It's not to say that, like, I just get annoyed with people who just sigh all fucking day. I'm sorry. Everything is a sigh and everything is a negative. Listen, let me be very clear when I say the word negative. It's one thing to be critical about the conditions that we're in, to acknowledge the realities of those things. But it's another thing to simply just, woe is I, it's the end, we're fucked. Ugh, I don't like that shit. I'm just completely like, I'm over that. I'm over it. And I would encourage many of you to do the same, because at the end of the day, if you're not trying to jump out a window or throw it all away and you're still choosing to live, then fucking live. Like, live productively, live purposefully. Like actually, I'm not saying that you can't have moments of disappointment, but to reside in misery and disappointment as a long-time fixture, that shit's not healthy. Like, get up off your ass and keep pushing through. You're doing it anyway. No one said, I'm going to quit my job and say, fuck everything, let it burn. If that's where you are, then seriously do that, if that's what you need to do. But most of the people I'm interacting with on a day-to-day basis are not trying to do that. So if that's not what you're trying to do, then what are you doing? Because if you're not fighting or resisting and you're not trying to do that, then you're complicit in your own harm. And you've allowed it to continue to happen to you. So either join the fight or go bye-bye. I mean, that's just, I know that sounds a little crass, but like, that's how I feel when I'm around people. Like, I can't tell you how many times I go out and I'll encounter someone and they're talking about what's going on. And they're just like, oh, we're fucked, man. It's just, this is a wrap. And I'm like, well, if it's a wrap, then go wrap your ass up now and go. Go fuck yourself. Like, I'm just really serious. Like, I'm like, what do you do with a person that tells you that? Like, what do you do? What am I supposed to do with that? Why are you dumping this on me? I think it's the emotional dumping for me. We just have to stop that. If you're guilty of doing this, I want you to stop doing it. I want you to stop. Unless you're planning to get fucked. Then you can just get fucked. But that ain't me. I don't have it in me to be. So, just some food for thought. Those are my thoughts, if you want to know. Because people ask me all the time, people send me shit, and I'm just like, or they'll just talk you down. There's all the people that talk you down a rabbit hole. So like, you're providing all these alternatives of ways of solutions. And they're just finding pivots to think about the worst case scenario every single time. And I'm at a point where I'm just like, well, then you just gonna die? Like you don't have no faith? If you don't have any faith, that's fine. But I gotta have something. So, I get it. Things are complicated. Things are tough, right? I hold all of that. But what I'm not going to do is create 1,000 worst case scenarios and reside in that misery and not do a damn thing about how in my everyday life. I'm not saying that we got to fight the world and do that, but can you start with your own life choices and decisions? Start with your fucking mindset before you try to change someone else's mindset. Start with how you view this situation and how you view yourself in it. Start with how you're showing up to work and how you're showing up for your friends and family and other people. Start with your own backyard. I think that's my thing. There's so many people trying to address all the world issues, but they don't even have their own house in order. I feel comfortable that in my friend circle and in my personal life, I have created and set boundaries that makes me feel comfortable enough to tackle other bigger issues. So many people are trying to do that too, but you haven't even gotten your shit together. Start with your own self-sustainability. Before you say you're fucked, before you worry about the Trump administration fucking you, can you get yourself together and not fuck yourself over? Are you hydrated? Are you sleeping? Are you taking your necessary medications? Are you eating? Are you breathing? Are you, cleaning your ass? Like, let's do that first. I think we need to go back to the basics. Some of y'all need to go back to the basics. Before you worry about fascism knocking on your door. Are you taking care of your bills? Are you taking care of your current lively situation? Are you taking care of your actual well-being as a person? Start there. Apply the mask and the life jacket on before you try to administer oxygen to the other person on the side of you. I've been there, y'all. Believe it or not, I've been there. At a certain point, you gotta transition. You gotta transition. Once you get to a point where you feel a level of balance or or security or health in yourself, in a level of maintaining that wellness. Then branch out into community. And then with community, branch out into the streets and outside the streets, the world. But you got to get to those levels. And I think there's so many people that I know in my own network, and I say network, that's broad, that they're so busy franticking about every aspect of the Trump administration. But then I look at them and I say, well, you got some shit going on with you. You need to go to the doctor. You need to check up on that. You need to make sure that your health is all right. Are you good? Like, before you try to worry about the health of our democracy, can you worry about your actual internal health? Before you're worried about inclusion and diversity with the Supreme Court, is your family that you're in, are you in a safe space with your family? Have you gotten your family together? You know? And I say this to the white liberals and progressives that are so out here fighting everything, trying to be a revolutionary. Be a revolutionary in your household. Be a revolutionary in your family. Be a revolutionary at your job, at your classroom, at your office, at your workspace. Don't wreak terror onto Black and brown people that you're supposed to be in liberation with. How you gonna fight for the community and the cause when you being the terror in your own backyard? There's a lot of people out here that think they are fighting the good for the people, but they are fucking up the very good in their own families. Be a good person before you want to be a good comrade. Somebody need to hear that. A couple folks need to hear that. There's some people that I recognize, and I'm like, you can't even, what? We need to go back to the basics. So that's my solution. Go back to the basics. Stop doom scrolling the internet. Stop getting consumed by so much fear-mongering that you have not even prioritized your own being in the situation. You will not be good for anyone if you're not good to yourself. And that's not selfish. That's called self-sufficiency. And if you are a queer person, a trans person, a Black woman, a Black and brown person, like if you any of those people on the margins already, you need to recognize that we live in a world that we can barely get people to give us helmets and make sure we good before we good. So we gotta check in with ourselves first. I learned that a long time ago. I realized that I was out here giving everything to everybody, and the reciprocity was not coming. And I built resentment. And I had to look back and say, at the end of the day, I can't blame anyone but myself. Because I accepted a lot of things that was crossing my boundaries, that was not respecting me, that was not respecting people I cared about. And I had to take a step back and say, I cannot hold any accountability on those people if I'm not accountable to my own self. Self-accountability was important to me. I had to take care of myself. And I mean that on a spiritual, emotional, mental state. I had to be accountable to myself. I could not demand accountability from other people until I recognized that I was asking for things for people to do for me that I wasn't even doing for myself. And when I got to a point when I said enough's enough, with certain friendships, with certain family members, with certain people I was working with, when I decided that it was enough for me, it was easy for me to tell other people enough to everything else. But you got to get with yourself first. And you got to navigate that work. Because when you do that self-work on yourself, you become a more effective communicator and a more effective leader. Somebody needs to hear that right now. I don't know. This was not intended. I didn't know I was going to go on this route. But I sometimes have these moments where I feel like somebody listening right now, they feel like I'm speaking to them. I might be speaking to you. Some of you I might be dragging. I'm not even trying to. But there are times where I do sense that we get so caught up in everything else that we don't pay attention to what's happening. I had to do that. When the NABJ ban happened to me a couple of years ago and I got betrayed by some folks, I had to look and say, some of these people that backstabbed me was already backstabbing me, and I was giving them second chances. Why? Because I wanted to feel in community with people. And I had to reimagine what community looked like. Community does not mean simple affiliation based on what? Identity? So we were Black journalists. But were those Black journalists being respectful to me? Were they actually really in community with me? Or were they just a group of people that were together because we were simply black? Trust was already lost. Betrayal was already happening before the quote-unquote final straw. This was death by 1,000 cuts. When I had to sit in that moment and reevaluate and replay the whole tape, I realized that I had been tolerating disrespect from people long before the massive betrayal took place. I had already been accepting it, and I was normalizing it, and I was making excuses for it, and I was justifying it, and I was compromising on things, and I just was seeing the signs. And I told myself that now that I know better, I have to do better. I can't go back to the same shit. I cannot let people do that. And so if that means that I'm going to have to sacrifice certain connections with certain people, so fucking be it. And that was the decision I made. And I've never looked back. And the moment I did that, I noticed that I was able to then move with a level of fortitude and focus that I had not had in my life. Because sometimes in those moments of rejection and betrayal, there is a moment where you have to then reevaluate everything, and you cannot unsee what you have saw. And now I see clearly in a way that has empowered me to be more courageous, to be more outspoken, to be more bold, but also a level of fearlessness. The fearlessness of it all. Because you've been to a place where you say, look, the worst has happened. You've hit ground zero. You have seen yourself at your lowest end, and now, oh my goodness, can I get an amen? Can someone pass the offering plate? I don't know, I was going to go there. But really, you have gotten to that lowest point at a moment in time where it could go left or right, and you are invisible. You're visible to see the things that are now hard to deny. And so once you face those things and you see it for what it is, you got to move accordingly. And I will tell you, 3 years later, where I was at in my life in 2023, when all that was going on, it was very tough. I can accept the realities of who I am. I am not for everybody. I don't want to be for everybody. There are people who are not going to like me. Oh, fucking well. And you could go down the list of all of these things that people don't do. But I flip that shit and go, I matter. I got some really great friends. I have some loving family members. I have a great husband. I am doing what the fuck I want. I look the fuck good. I smell good. I dress great. I eat well. And I'm doing what I want. And I think that affirmation is the way in which I look at this. I don't spend so much of my energy. It's a working process. I do have my moments when I do revert back to being like, fuck. And that's real. We are human. But I have a larger sense of recognizing what I have compared to what I don't have or what I've lost. And I don't miss anything that missed me. That's important. Anything that is not fighting for you, let it go. Acknowledge it, but let it go. And I think that's hard for people. I can't tell how many people in my life that when I said I let go of something or I'm moving forward, I'm going a different direction, how many people want to hold you back to say, you can't work it out? The onus is not on me. It's a two-way street in a relationship. Any dynamic requires two people to come to the table. If the other side ain't showing up, they can miss me. I'm always open to legitimate forgiveness, but forgiveness does not mean forgetting. Forgiveness does not mean you go back to normal. Over the years, people have come back to me and apologized to me. Not everybody, but some people have. And given the sincerity of what those apologies were, I accepted them. But that didn't mean I went back to the relationship. No. It just meant thank you for acknowledging. I appreciate that. I wish you well. Take care. We can do that too. And I think people have a fear of new directions. It can be scary. I get it. But essentially, if you're still intending to live on this earth, to exist, you got to actually put yourself in a playing position or a living position. I always say, if you want to make it in life, you want to achieve, you have to put yourself in a winning position to succeed. However that is for you. It could be a financial change, it could be a career move, it could be a relationship change, a friendship dynamic change, but you got to put yourself in a winning position. We all have the power and the ability to do that with what we have. It's not perfect, but we all have the agency to improve our circumstances to some extent. Not maybe the fullest extent. Some things are going to require time, but we can shift our mindsets about how we operate in those spaces. And I think there's a level of weight that has fallen off my shoulders when I did not feel the need to carry everybody's burden, everybody's, shit. We think that the meekness is that we perform this sense of emotional capacity. Everybody always wants to model this. What does it look like to be a good person? And people think that means all of this. I'm a what they say. I'm an emote or whatever, an empath and all that. Listen, that's all performative. And in the pursuit of trying to perform this level of empathy and emotions and things, child, sometimes you just have to go, I don't have that in me. I don't feel that way. What that person's feeling is theirs. And I can show up for them at the best of my abilities. You can sometimes love people from a distance. You can do all the things. You can also decide how much of energy you want to give. And maybe your energy is not even for everybody. I will not hold you. The way in which I go for the Lit Brothers is not going to be, or my husband or my brother or my close friends. I'm not going to go up for every single person in my life the same way because every relationship is different. Every dynamic is different. Every expectation is different. And that's also based on how much you invest in the relationships that you have. People have to consider all of that. And that's okay. Why does everything have to be all or nothing? Everything's not an all or nothing situation. But I digress. This was an Ask Ernest I was not expecting to go that deep into. But here we are. So with movies, there's been a lot of chatter online about this movie, You, Me, and Tuscany. I have some thoughts. And I've wrestled with this. I wrestled with how I was going to address this. And I took a moment and said to myself, you know what? This movie does not require that level of intellectual read. It doesn't harm anyone. Let me say this. When a movie's bad, and I'm not saying this movie is bad, but bear with me. There are times when there's a movie that is bad, that is offensive. Like it's bad in a offensive way. It's like Tyler Perry movies are just bad in a way that they are horrifying. Like they're offensive. Like you walk away disgusted. You're like, this is just terrible. There's stereotypes. There's mockery of domestic violence. Like there's just so many things wrong with Tyler Perry films that you can, that especially the more recent ones, where you can just be like, these are just god awful to the point where they're offensive. Then there are movies that are just not good, and it's like they try, but it just does not land. But it's not a detriment to society. It is not, problematic. Like there's people who do not like the movie One Bad After Another because there are some very problematic, harmful tropes in that film. And so you can understand why some people might say, you know what they do with the black women characters, that's just not good. That's a bad film. That's a harmful film, right? Then there's some movies that's just bad because they're just not good, you know? My issue with You, Me, and Tuscany, right, with Holly Bailey and Regine Devon, whatever. Listen, and I think a lot of people have said this, and I'm not saying anything new, but I'm going to make it very clear. This could have just been a Netflix film. It could have been a Netflix film. I don't necessarily know why this needs to be a theater film. That's my initial reaction. I did go see it. This could have been a Netflix film. The type that you have on, you're like 70% watching it, but honestly, if you go wash something or walk around the house, you get the gist without having to like be intently watching every detail. It's kind of predictable. It's safe. It's cute. It's sweet. A little too sweet. I wrestle with who the audience is. That was the other issue I had with the film. Because it's very safe and innocuous in a way that did not feel adult. So there were structural things with the film that I wasn't understanding. And I think the major takeaway was, who was this movie for? So it's rated PG-13, which is already a red flag for me because Holly Bailey, she did the Disney, she did Little Mermaid. So I get the cuteness around her, right? I get why they would pick her because she does give that youthfulness in spite of, some her life and what's going on outside of that. She is definitely giving Disney Channel energy. That works. The problem is that Jean Page, this guy is a sex symbol, like a modern sex symbol. Like his whole energy has been very like hot. Like you did Bridgerton. Like we done seen some things. And so you were putting this very like sex symbol type guy alongside this Disney Channel type of girl. And that is what threw me off. And I don't want to tell too much of the film, but many of you already see it. Only made $8 million at the box office. So it's not like you all ran to go see the movie. Okay? It was an $18 million budget. It made $1.1 million in international. So it's about halfway through the budget. I think it's going to make its money. But they should have made more money. I mean, they should have came in a little bit stronger than what their budget was. But I think they're going to break even with this film and make a little bit more. But it was a little tidbit. But I think there is fair critique. So my critique is with the casting. I think that, especially, the casting would have worked if I would have not known the context. This movie is rated PG-13. So there's no real hot sex scene energy. And it's weird because again, Holly Bailey, she did Little Mermaid. She does a lot. She doesn't really do any major movies where we've heard her be vulgar. That's just not her energy. So she's perfect for the lead female role, right? But Renee Jean Page, like you was on Bridgerton. Like you have it's a very different appeal. And in this film, he's more scaled back and the sexiness is very more subtle. And I'm just like, but that's not how we seen you. That's not how you shown up. So I felt like they turned the heat down. And that was a little bit frustrating because my question was, why? And like, again, who was this movie for? Because if it was for 13, PG-13, you think of 13-year-olds are like teenagers. I could see the Holly Bailey part, but like, what happened to child actors? These are grown-ups. So I don't know why we have this grown-up film with this type of rating. That's what I struggle with, was the placement of the rating. Like, if it's a PG-13, this should have been a rated R movie. I need to have a little bit more maturity. I felt like I needed some more grown-upness. I needed some vulgar. They're black, they're grown. Like, do your big one. Like, what's going on? Like, because if they would have did that, then it would have worked. But then they was gonna have to recast, right? Like, they could have, if it was rated R, I don't know if Halle Bailey would have been perfect for that role. But because it's rated PG-13, she's perfect, but he's not. So somebody had to switch. So who could have been? Because I feel like there could have been a younger actor, that could have played his part. I just think they're a little bit too old for this type of debauchery. This is a little too safe for me. This is a little too cute for a film. Film is supposed to make you escape. I wasn't escaping in this film. Like, he's 38 years old. He's 38. So, like, again, he's 38. And so if you're going to be 38 and you're going to be hot and you're going to be all the things, right? I'm looking at Halle Bailey's age and I'm like, well, let me see. What's it giving? How old is she? Does this work? Because I'm looking at that time zone difference. Because there's a lot to be left to the imagination there, right? And so when I'm looking at her, she's 26 years old. That's her big brother. He's 38, she's 26. So that's her big brother. Because that's the age gap between me and my younger brother. My younger brother is 23. I'm about to be 35. We're like 12 years apart. I'm not dating nobody. Like, so that's the other thing. It's the age gap. She's 26. I do feel like she's a little too old to be playing in a PG-13 movie like this. But okay, she's got that youthful charm. She's got that whatever, okay? Because I'm also looking at, like, hypothetically, right? Zendaya is like a couple years older than her, right? Zendaya's like 29. Not to say I will put them together, but I could see Renee and Zendaya, but Zendaya would not be playing no PG-13 film at this point in her career. Not in that kind of role. She's in Challengers. Like, there's a different energy there. Zendaya plays more mature roles. So I could see, because every role that Halle Bailey has played has been very on the teeny bop side of things. Like in the Color Purple, like all of her roles have felt very young, youthful based. She has not been able to get rid of that, but I think that's part of her appeal. She wants to play the younger. Like, Chloe is given more grown, but that's how she's been sexualized in the music industry. I just feel like there's a level to which I would have wanted some more maturity. You know what would have been fun? Sierra. Why couldn't Sierra play this part? And play with Renee. Like, if you want to put some star power, right? Sierra is 40 years old. She'll be 41. They're age appropriate. The chemistry between Sierra and him, you got hotness. I would have loved to see Sierra in the film. Put Sierra there. They're around the same age. You would have had that same star power. The movie needs to be rated R. And we would have had a good time. I don't think Keke Palmer. No, I'm not. No, Keke Palmer is too unserious for me. I just find her too silly. Keke Palmer's just, no, not in I can't see Keke Palmer in a romantic film. I'm not saying that she's not attractive. I just think that she's, her character, like, she doesn't give romance. I watched her in this recent show. She was trying to be a wife in a suburban film. It just didn't stick. She's just too silly, like, in her characters. It's very dramatic. And she's also grapples with the fight between being young, or I don't know. I just have not seen her enough mature roles to feel like that would have worked. I think Sierra would have been the one for this. I think if they was going to do You, Me, and Tuscany, they could have put them together. They could have made a rated R film. We needed some cursing. We needed some better sex scenes. And we could have had a more adult plot. But instead, we get this situation where we get this girl. She's 26. In real life, Haley is 26. Jean-Pierre, whatever, he is 38. It's just the age gap was there. And I think the dynamics of the maturity, and that's what the chemistry felt off. And that's what it was for me. The chemistry felt off. If she was about maybe 30, I think it would have made the difference. 4 years would have made, if she was like 30, 31, that would have been all right. But I just feel like the age difference, it was hard for me to buy into their energy. It was a little weird. Like I just felt like it was like Big Brother. Like it was just that was a dynamic there that felt there. When I kept feeling like when I was watching, I was like, something's off. That's what it was. See, you can critique a film, okay, and really get into the structure parts of it. The casting was off, which made the chemistry off. I think they went by trying to get to two different audiences. They wanted to get, okay, the teenage crowd, and they wanted to get the young millennial Gen Zers. Problem, because let me tell you something. Like the younger people, the teenagers, they're Generation Alpha. 13-year-olds are not Gen Zers, baby. They're Gen Alpha. So you want the Gen Alphas and you want the millennials. I mean, not millennials, you want the Gen Zers. Because now Gen Zers are like, the oldest Gen Zer is about to be like, 30? So there's no way you want anybody over 30 to watch this film. Oh, you thought that's what you was going to get because you had old boy from Bridgerton. The problem is, when you watch the movie, you expecting more from him because we know what he can do. And we didn't get that here. And so I think that's what it was. So I just think the casting was off about it. Plus, it could have been a Netflix film, in my opinion. It also could have been a Netflix film. Yeah. Yeah. It's becoming a thing. So yeah, I'm curious. I'm curious. And it's a lot going on there. For sure. Now, outside of that, there's a new movie coming out next week with Anne Hathaway. No, it's not Devil Wears Prada 2. That's coming out in 2 weeks after that. Mother Mary. Mother Mary, starring Anne Hathaway, okay, is epic, beautiful, a good film. And I'm a little annoyed with her because not really, but Anne Hathaway is stretching these films. She's got another film. She's got The Odyssey coming out in mid-July. She's got a lot of movies coming out. And I just want to say that this film is fire. It's fire. It is not for everybody. Let me just start with that. There's a lot of great acting. The performances are phenomenal. There's some great music. Michaela Cole. It's basically a character that's a combination between Lady Gaga and Taylor Swift, like popness, and she is a lesbian love tale between Anne Hathaway's character and Michaela Cole. So there's a queerness elements to it. It's a psychosexual pop opera. Iconic pop star reunites with her estranged best friend and former costume designer on the eve of a major comeback. There's fame, creativity, intense personal history, surrealism, sex. I mean, it's all the things. It's a very great film. I haven't seen a film like this since Black Swan. If you liked Black Swan, you're going to love this. This movie may not be for everyone. I'm just going to say that right now. But for those who enjoyed Black Swan, this is for you. Mother Mary is for you. David Lowery is giving us some great films. He's been giving us some great films for a while. The Green Knight was great. Peach Dragon, interesting. Peter Pan and Wendy, okay, a little different. But The Old Man and the Gun, what a risk there. A Ghost Story, very interesting. He's done some interesting films. But he's given it, The Green Knight, though. I really like The Green Knight. He's got some potential. I feel like we're going to see David Lowery's name in Oscar conversations in the future. Like, he's an interesting director, and I'm curious to see what he do. But this film is very good. I don't think it's a very unique type of film. It's an A24 film. You know, A24, how they get down. A24 is making all kind of films, very interesting films. I mean, they just recently gave us, some Oscar winners, but they gave us the drama, which came out last week, which kind of came and went, did it? The drama kind of came and went. Nobody wants to admit that. Kind of We over it, right? It's been an interesting time for the box office. I mean, Super Mario Brothers is taking over everything. That sequel is the box office juggernaut until Devil Wears Prada 2 comes out. So we gotta wait for that. But yeah, I really like this film. It is very interesting. I can see why Anne Hathaway dropped it because I don't think it's going. I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be like a big old box office smash. So I feel like she thought, well, let's put this out there and then get it out, and then we can get to Devil Wears Prada season. But this is a very good film. I just think it's interesting. She's promoting both of these films simultaneously and she's working. And then Devil Wears Prada is going to have its summer kickoffs to the summer box office, and then the Odyssey comes out in mid-July, and that's going to be epic. So Christopher Nolan, I mean, she and Christopher Nolan, they do everything together. So it's going to be an interesting phase for her, but she's bound to get some type of Oscar. I mean, it would be a bummer if she don't get any Oscar nominations, considerations, or love between now and then. It's just she's in the conversation for sure. She's the moment. She's that girl. I mean, they're saying Zendaya is too, but I don't know. And everybody's in the same movie. Like, I feel like all these actors who got movies coming out this year, the Odyssey is like in the conversation. Like everybody and mama is an Odyssey. Like, who's not an Odyssey? Zendaya, and then Dune. Dune and Odyssey. She's in those two movies. She's in the drama. She's in Dune. She's in the new Spider-Man movie. Like who's not in Dune or the Odyssey? Please raise your hand. Please raise your hand. Please raise your hand. So, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. It's a good season. I mean, movies are back. I hear that the Gen Alphas and the younger Gen Zers, they're going to the movies again. Good for you all. It takes a lot for me to go to the movies, to be honest, because of just where we are. But UCLA 2025 Hollywood Diversity Report came out. They confirmed some things we already kind of knew, but in a nutshell, just for you all to know, is that even though there is strong reports and showings that black and brown led films, diversity led films with cast members of color taking the lead in films, that even though we have that strong showing, we're still not seeing enough films with our parts. Last year, roles that were led by people of color, specifically black and brown members, they went down by like 23%. And previously it was about over a third of films with leads. Now it's less than a quarter now. And yet, in spite of that, our films typically do well at the box office, meaning that when they do invest in quote unquote DEI, right? Our films break even, do well. We don't do that many flops. Most black films with lead casts do not flop. Most of the time we do not flop. We have a really good return on investment. Movie goers, audiences will go see a film with a black cast. They will make its money back. We will go support our own, and everybody else in mama will go see us too. You put a black lead actor in a film, it's going to do well. That's what the research shows. Most of the films with black lead actors and cast members, and this is lead. We do box office show. We've been doing that for a long time, and so this narrative that black films, we need to come out to the box office and support, or we got to do it. It's this weird racism that puts pressure on every single time a black film comes out. There's this logic of, well, we got to show up and show them that when we show the movies, and I hate that. I do, right? Me, You, and Tuscany is not a good movie, and that's okay. It's okay. It's okay, right? If it flops, that does not mean that automatically, because that flopped, that means that black movies shouldn't get greenlit. Because how many white movies flop? Every single week. You can go down the box office and go look at all the white-led casts that fucking flop every week. Major box office films. Let's pull them. Let's pull up the box office. I'm gonna name some films right now, and the racism that we project. Right? Let's go down the list. Let's go down right now. Let's see. Exit 8, flop. A Great Awakening, flop. Reminders of Him, flop. They Will Kill You, flop. Undertone, flop. The Christophers, flop. I'm just saying. That's the box office list right now. Faces of Death, flop. These are all films that are on the box office that got major white casts. Flop. Sinners, box office smash. And we still having conversations about black casting when movies like, other films like One Bow After Another, underwhelmed. Did not do at the rate, all the money that was spent on that movie, it did not do that superb at the box office. Marty Supreme did aight. But it don't even do the levels to which we see black-led films do in the same conversations. So I'm tired of these conversations. I am. I'm not having these conversations with people anymore about this. Like, we got to stop perpetuating stereotypes. The reason why we don't see black films getting greenlit and funded is not because they're not box office or bankable. It's because of racism. We just need to name a thing. It's because of racism. It's because of racism, ladies and gentlemen. The goalposts cannot be moved. We didn't put black people in space. We didn't put black people in Wakanda. We didn't put black people in prisons. We done put black people in queer spaces. We done put black people on girls' trips. We done put black people in every type of scenario. And guess what? The box office dollars show that they are bankable. So we don't have that problem. Black films, movies with lead cast of color, these communities, Latinos, we don't have these problems. You give a diversity in film, people want to see that. They want to see those movies. When you fund them, they do well. And you give them the budget, you get that, they do well. And so every time a movie comes out, there's this pressure that it's got to be perfection. So you mean to tell me that because Me, You, and Tuscany, because a Hollywood studio with a white director, maybe that's the other thing. Maybe you should have more black films with black directors. Maybe I need to clarify this. Black films with black directors do well at the box office. That's part of the reason why Me, You, and Tuscany didn't work, because it was not directed by a black filmmaker. That's part of the reason the chemistry was off. I just feel like that's all the things that we don't talk about. Let me be very clear. Black films with black lead cast directed by black directors do well. Ask Will Packer. That man has 10 films. My fellow frat brother. He's an alpha. That man has produced and directed, has 10 films that he's put at the box office that has landed at number one at the box office. 10 films. We could talk about Spike Lee. We could talk about the other black filmmakers. Anton Fuqua has, in 2 weeks, Michael Jackson film coming out. You can't tell me that's not going to make any money. Whenever we get a chance to do our thing, we do. Ryan Coogler, box office king. The lists are there. Ava DuVernay, done it. Nia Costa, done it. They do it. They've produced. So all these narratives of, we got to go to the box office to save a film. We got to do, if we don't, they gon' fuck that shit. They're not doing it because these movies not bankable. We got to stop insulting folks. We do show up to the box office for good films. We do show up to the box office for black directed films with black lead casts. Now, when you put a black cast with a white director, sometimes we don't know. That's why I think You, Me, and Tuscany was missing something. And I found out what it was. It was missing that extra sauce, that seasoning. Now the new narrative is they think they can just put black faces in any film and think we're going to run and go see it. No, we got to have a black filmmaker. We got to have a lens. There's got to be a credibility there that's there. And that's what they're missing. So, just some food for thought. So, movies. Not movies, music. I want to get to this. There's a lot going on here. I got a lot on my list with music. A lot went down. Actually, no, I'm gonna do TV first and get with TV. I'm gonna save music for a minute because music as a whole, there's a lot going on in music right now, and I have some thoughts clearly. TV, Euphoria comes out. Did not like it. Don't watch it. It's a drag. I feel bad for Zendaya. I get why she and Sam Levinson has fallen off. This shit is a disaster. My youngest brother, my baby brother, he likes Euphoria. He is going to turn 16 next week. Where did time go, y'all? Next Monday, he is turning 16. Where did the time go, baby? He likes Euphoria. I can't stand this new season. I never was really crazy about Euphoria like that, to be honest. But it makes sense for someone his age to be into it. I've not heard good things about this show. I was not impressed with the pilot. I don't know what the hell. This show went in a different direction. They should let it end at season 2. This is it. And this is not, I just feel like it's too much. I just feel like it's too much. Sam Levinson was messed up. Because if you were all trying to figure out why Zendaya did not stay for the premiere, everybody's talking about her like dissing and skipping over Sydney Sweeney. That's only part of the drama. It's Sam Levinson, because he was going around telling people that her movie schedule was the reason why they couldn't get to season 3. That he was acting like she was so busy with her movie career that she couldn't do it, even though she took out time and took herself off of projects to commit to making that show happen. This is the show that got her 2 Emmy Awards for Best Lead Actress in a Drama Series. Like, this is the show that really took her career to the next level, okay? Took her from the Disney Channel and put her on the red carpet, okay? And for him to throw her under the bus and try to frame it like it's her fault was bullshit. It was bullshit. And everybody saw it for what it was. But yeah, he tried to do that to her, and that was fucked up. So there's some tension there. There's some friction. She stepped on the red carpet, looked cute, took some pictures, and not take a picture with him and got her ass right back in the car. I don't blame her. I think she knows that this show is gonna be a mess. And she did her little promo, and that was it. She's not here for it. And I think a lot of people are gonna get, the reviews are coming in. It's not good. It's just too much. It's excess. And I think that's the problem. It's like, it's just too much of something to the point where it's unbelievable. I don't know if people are really committed. Domingo Coleman, everybody is, Coleman Domingo. I keep calling Domingo Coleman. That just sounds right. Coleman Domingo. I don't know. Jacob Elordi, he got an Oscar nomination. There's people that want to move on. I think this show, wrap this up. This always happens. The show got some potential, and then everybody just be like, wrap this up. So, we'll see. And then, real quick, before we get to music, the Breakfast Club podcast. Apparently, it's on Netflix. They're saying it's a highly rated show because of its transition to Netflix. But a lot of people are not talking about it like they used to. And I love this for us. The Breakfast Club is apparently breaking some records when their views of Netflix. Like, a lot of people are apparently watching on Netflix. But like, as a podcast show on Netflix, you got to have a subscription. They've lost the cultural capital they once had by making this transition to Netflix. I've noticed, which I'm happy about, you don't see that many Breakfast Club clips or viral moments because so much of it is on Netflix, and I haven't really heard many people talking about it. And so there's been speculation of whether or not that transition is, where is that hitting with the ratings? Terrestrial radio is struggling as enough as it is, but I have a sense that the end is near. It's not, and it's not this year, but it's coming. It's coming. And again, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. But I'm happy to see that Charlamagne the God is fading. He's not fully faded yet. But I think we're entering a new era where so much of the damage of the 2024 elections is going to make people not try the same stunts. I'm looking forward to a more refined era of this. I'm looking for a more refined era in what we're about to witness right now. And it's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time. And so it's gonna be interesting to see how this plays out in the next year or so, because it was a major institution. It still is, but there's some interesting shifts happening right now in the podcasting sphere with these guys. I'm curious to see where it all lands. So we'll keep an eye on that. Now back to music. So where do I start? New music is flopping. It is. It is. Luminate, which I went to their Grammy party, they did a report of 2025 music and said that, in their report, found that over 75% of most streaming music came from music from the past 18 months. So, music that came a year and a half later, earlier, and even earlier than that. This is the first time this ever happened. Most people right now are listening to music that, most of the music being streamed right now is music that is nearly 2 years old compared to music that isn't. Like, most of the music we're listening to repeatedly is not current music. And that's the first time this has happened in their report. First time ever. That's very telling. And I think part of that is that we are being so oversaturated with music that I think there's a lot of reasons for what's happening with this, right? I think a lot of the music that's out right now, we're being oversaturated with new music that it's almost hard to even invest. They're saying that there's like 30,000 new tracks that come out on the streaming platforms a day. 30,000 songs are coming out a day on in some way, shape, or form by somebody. And what's also driving this is that music, there's no monoculture, right? So what monoculture means is that they're like, we all as a group of people can get around around an event or moment where we all can know the songs. Like radio, we don't really play radio like that anymore. Radio doesn't drive our tastes. We're all fragmented in these like very homogeneous spaces where we're not connecting. So a song that's the number one song on the Billboard Hot 100 can be a song that we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, but like it's putting more context here. Like you could go and not know the song or have heard the song before in 2026. That's the reality. But let's say 10 years ago in 2016, let's say 2016, you would have most likely known the song or heard the song. And let's even take it back to 2006, 20 years ago. Any song that's number one on Billboard Hot 100, whether you liked it or did not, you knew the song existed. I would even say in the early 2010s, everybody heard the song Born This Way, knew the song Born This Way. You knew Poker Face. You knew Single Ladies. You knew those songs. Even if you didn't personally like it. Uptown Funk by Bruno Mars, you knew that song. Like a hit was a hit. Blinding Lights, even a couple years ago, you knew that song. You heard that song, even if you liked it or did not like it. A number one hit was that way. Nowadays, the streaming platforms are so segregated that certain people are getting traction that other people are not. It's so fragmented that now your biggest stands of fans can determine how far you go. It doesn't require a collective consensus. There's very seldom songs that bring everybody together. They Not Like Us is an example of a universal song. Old Town Road, these are like hits I'm thinking of. But you barely get songs like that nowadays. Yeah. The music industry has gotten so decompartmentalized, which opens the door for like very famous artists that we already know to be able to get a song to chart because of the popularity and notoriety. So Bruno Mars, even if his music is not good, he's guaranteed to sell something because he has enough fans, enough attention that will guarantee that to him. Taylor Swift is Taylor Swift. Beyonce, Beyonce, right? But if you're a new artist, it's going to get harder for you too, unless you got a machine behind you. So it's a like Sabrina Carpenter has been around for so many years that she built a fan base before she became the big star she is. It's very seldom that that's happening nowadays. It's getting really rare. And that's why new music overall is just not tracking. It's not. Like a lot of these new artists, a lot of this new music we're hearing, it's just like, you know. We're not open to taking risks as much as we used to. We're waiting for songs to build a level of popularity that forces us to have to listen to it. Like it has to be repetition. It has to be repetitious. Like it has to be more and more of something before we decide to pivot. That's an observation I've seen. Food for thought. So that brings me to concerts and tours. Let's start with Coachella. I think it's safe to say, I think Coachella's overrated. It's the one music festival outside of Baychella that I've ever never really cared to go to. And there's a lot of conversations right now about what's happening on with Coachella, like how it started. Coachella was supposed to be a big protest against big major ticket, distributors. Like the whole plan was to fight against the over pricing of these things, right? It's been around, and the whole plan of Coachella as an entity was that it was this music festival that's been around since 1993. It's been around for nearly over 30 years. And it started because Pearl Jam was boycotting venues controlled by Ticketmaster. Ticketmaster still out here doing this shit, right? It was a protest. It was an alternative way for people to come together. Now it has become this super expensive money-making machine that is less about the performances and the music and more about brands trying to shove shit down people's throats. It's a lack of diversity. There was talks about how there was barely any black people at Coachella. It's like super white, super rich. Like it's just, it's not a thing. I just never had an interest in going. I never understood it. I just never understood it currently in this current iteration. It's like, it's a music festival with a bunch of people. They have some famous people. Cool. What are we doing in this desert? The desert, I mean, you're in this area, hot. You're doing 2 consecutive 3-day weekends, which is also a lot too, right? 2 weekends back to back, 3 consecutive days. That's also a lot, right? And 125,000 people at the Empire Polo Club. Yeah, I'm not crazy about it. I'm not crazy about it. I think it's just one of those things where it feels like it was a moment that now has become a sellout. Like I just don't feel like it carries the same weight. Like it just feels like there was a moment and it felt promising. And then all of a sudden now it, I mean, the fact that in 2018, the first black woman to headline the festival is Beyonce, just tells you how culturally I'm not, like Rihanna should have been did Coachella. Like, I don't know. So many missed opportunities. So many things, you know? Like the fact that Drake headlined before Beyonce. Yeah. Yeah. Not crazy about it. But somebody asked me about my thoughts about Coachella or why wasn't I out there? First of all, I'm not really a music festival person, but I mean, clearly Roots Picnic, right? I don't, do, I think that's on my list of things. Do I not? I don't think I like music festivals. I went to Made in America, but I had a very, very ultra VIP experience. Roots Picnic, I tried. Clearly that didn't happen. Um, I'll tell y'all a story about that later about something very interesting with the Roots Picnic happened, but but I'm not going to share that until after the festival. I'll save that. I'm not going to bring it up now. I'm going to wait for that. But yeah, music festivals. I don't know. I think maybe me and music festivals don't mix. Yeah, maybe that's what it is. I just can't get them. I can't get into them. Maybe those large scale ones. I can't get into them. That's what it is. Okay. The Cardi B tour, the Little Miss Drama tour. Let me just start off by saying it is. I love that tour. I love that tour. It was phenomenal. It was incredible. Um, it was a show. Um, It was everything I thought, and in everything I was shocked. Um, like it was it was everything for me. Um, that for me was a game changer for me. I just really loved that show. I enjoyed the fun she had. Cardi B, what I got from Cardi B was that this show felt it felt effortless. She wanted to be on stage. What I get was that everything was worth the wait. We waited for a long time for this second album, and it came, it delivered. We waited for her to have a tour like this, and she comes, she delivers. She's full of energy. She's having so much fun, and she feels so free. And she's just a natural talent. Like, she's somebody who is not just a rapper. Like, she's actually an entertainer. Like, she really is a performer. She's dancing in this show. She's humorous. She's a full meal. She's not skimping. And like, in a time where a lot of rappers and performers in general are just not doing the most, she's doing the utmost. Like, she's having a blast. And it was exciting from beginning to end. She had high energy. She performs all the songs. And I think it's fun when you have an artist like Cardi B where this tour, because she has 2 studio albums, a lot of songs that you really like, she plays. And she plays hits that she featured in. Like, she had a lot, the set was long enough to work. She had various costume changes and acts. There was something great. There's a lot of inspiration. You see inspirations throughout. There's Janet, there's influences of Janet, there's influences of Madonna. I got a lot of Madonna energy from parts of her performances and her acts and things. There are elements of Renaissance. Yes, there's definitely some Renaissance moments where I felt like, oh, I remember this from Renaissance. But I also remember this from Confessions on the Dance Floor, the Sticky Sweet tour. I remember those elements too. There's a lot of those early elements from the Velvet Rope tour, from Janet. Like, there's a lot of influences. She's very influenced, the set designs, the moments, and then she incorporates elements of things she likes, like that carousel. And those who know the carousel segment. The twerk carousel, genius. The fire, phenomenal. Like, just a great show. She brings out Meek, of course, in Philly. He sings Dreams and Nightmares. They don't do their song together, which was fine with me. He comes up, he does Dreams and Nightmares. It's a hit. He goes off the stage, back to Cardi. Like, I enjoyed that. I didn't need any more Meek. I didn't need her to do any features. I didn't need her to do any opening acts. Now, I will say, even though I know she's canceled, but Sexy Red should have been the opening act of this show, this tour. The way that the DJ played most of Sexy Red's songs at the beginning of this show, for me, I just felt like it's obvious that the type of crowd that is amped up for Cardi B, an artist like Sexy Red would have been a very great warm-up for that. She's got some bangers. I don't care what anybody say. You can say what she's an unserious artist, but she's got bangers, like club bangers for that type of crowd. I kept hearing her songs and I just was like, why is she not on stage? If you're gonna keep playing Sexy Red throughout this was the opening, like the beginning, they had a DJ. Yeah, it was a show. We had a good time. I need to say this though, the Xfinity Mobile, you all need to figure out what that ride share situation is. It is hell. Myself, Dr. Parks, Mr. Johnson, Jamarcus, we met up there. We saw Brittany, we saw our homegirl Brittany, we saw Sharon. Sharon went. But when we were trying to leave, we should have drove. We should have drove and walked. The amount of energy and time that we waited. I cannot Uber down there. I cannot. I need to drive. I don't know how to drive, but I need to be with the people because that was chaos. Mr. Johnson regretted not driving. We thought, oh, it'd be smart to Uber. There, the Uber lot, for anybody who's been down there in Philly, this is, I say the Xfinity Mobile, but I'm talking about, not Xfinity. I'm talking about what used to be the Wells Fargo Arena, for those who are like, what's this Xfinity Mobile? Wells Fargo, but it's now the Xfinity Mobile Arena. But Wells Fargo Center is what I'm talking about too. Same thing, but Wells Fargo don't own anymore, so now it's Xfinity. Getting out of there, that Uber ride share situation is chaos. It is chaos. I don't wish it on my enemy. I don't. Getting out that night, especially with that cold chill, hell. We was out there for an hour waiting for a ride. Like Uber rides was canceling. They didn't want to make you spend money on Premiere. It's a cash grab. It was just chaotic. They got to figure that out. They got to get a new lot, new parking lot. They got to figure this out, because that is hell. Maybe the goal is they want people to drive more or something, maybe. Or maybe we just going to need to park somewhere. But that was just, we got to drive. We got to drive next time. So, yeah. But other than that, the tour was great. Loved it. Loved her. Great energy. Was the best rap tour I've ever been to thus far. Concert I've been to. I just love the energy. I love the fun. I love the music. She was great. Yeah, it was worth it. It was worth it. We were on the floor, by the way. We got floor seats. I didn't even realize that because I didn't buy the tickets. Mr. Johnson did. But we got floor seats. We was on the floor. We was like on the front row. We was like right there on the floor, right there to see everything. We had a great view. It was a great concert. We was hot. We was lit. Yeah. So lastly, I regret to inform, or not really regret, but I must say, this decision, this cancellation is really sad. This one right here is going to hurt, but I have no other choice. Usher Raymond IV is canceled in my house. I'm done. I will appreciate his impact as an artist, but I can't support this man. I cannot. He did the cardinal sin. He is going on tour with Chris Brown for the R&B tour, the Raymond and Brown tour. There's going to be lots of hits. No pun intended. Choices were made. Seriously, choices were made. I'm disappointed by this decision. First of all, it's greed. Is this a recession indicator? I mean, is this a recession indicator? Like, I don't know. But you just had an incredible tour, which I think that was heaven sent. I'm happy I got to see Usher on tour. I'm happy I got to have this moment, because I'm not going to another Usher concert. Chris Brown just had his big concert, Breezy Bowl, last year. Why are y'all back on tour? And why are y'all on tour together? This just seems like a money grab to me. It's going to sell out. But talk about the capitulation of Usher, that you need that much money that bad, that much greed. Like, I just wonder, like, how much money do people need? Like, you didn't have to go on this tour. You just really had a rocked out concert. You just really made millions of dollars, like literally over a year ago. You literally have residuals and royalties from you saw one of the greatest albums of all time. Like, I just don't understand the logic outside of just greed and just disgust. Some of my friends say they don't even think that Usher and Chris Brown are even going to be able to make it through the tour because of the egos. I don't even care, because at the end of the day, you knew, and you sold out. I am convinced, and I know this is going to be hard to say, but I'm going to be real with you. I think Usher is depending on Chris Brown to bring out the crowd. I don't think Usher to do this tour, they had to do it together. Because I think both of them, I think Usher wants relevance. I think Usher wants another type of relevance. But the crazy part is, it's like, what's the cahoots? What's the percentage? Is it 50-50? It's got to be 50-50 at this point, because both of them can prove. I mean, Usher's had longevity in the game, but Chris Brown, I feel like, has a certain legion of fans that are going to come out a different type of way, that Usher couldn't go back. Let me make it more plain. Usher couldn't go back right again on tour and do this again. Chris Brown is about to drop a brand new album. Usher just dropped the album like over a year ago. Chris Brown's about to drop a new album with a song that apparently is called Obvious, because it's obviously the same song he's done 5,000 different times probably. He's dropping a new album this year. Very, very soon. His fans, they will go see him again. Usher got a different type of fan base. He can't, I mean, that comeback tour he just recently did, that was beautiful. I don't need to go back and see him in tour again, like another tour. I would be fine. So for him to collab with Usher, with Chris Brown, because Chris Brown's about to drop a new album, them Chris Brown fans want more of him. They're obsessed. They're deranged. Now they're going to, but to build capacity for the tour, to have Usher with it is just even a more sweet treat for them. Chris Brown benefits, but Usher benefits the most from collaborating with Chris Brown, because I will tell you, I don't think Usher could do another tour back-to-back like this, but Chris Brown could, and I think that's the reality. Both are talented, both are going to do their thing, but it's bigger than talent. It's about integrity. It's about all other things. This man is sitting on all these allegations. This man is just not the best guy in general. Why would you align yourself with him in this way? There was a whole situation with him and Tiana Taylor. Didn't y'all have a physical altercation allegedly? Like, I'm just trying to understand. But money. And the problem is that I could easily say that would have been a nail for me, but there's just too many problems, right? You took your ass to Bali to go see Russell Simmons. You're defending Diddy. Yeah, you a problem. And while there might be some childhood trauma and issues that he's got in his childhood as a child star in this industry, and there is empathy I have for whatever he doesn't want to share, right? You don't then get to do what you do and then harm other people and disrespect other people in the process. Everybody's disappointing. I didn't think Usher and Chili would be off my list, canceled in 2026. I didn't see those two. And so I said something about it on my social media, because I think this is very important to note. And I wanted to make this very crystal clear, because I wanted to get some points across. I'll make this very plain, and I'm going to read what I said. The past 2 years since Trump has returned to the White House has made it very clear to me how so many people in my own community and network have tolerated and doubled down on the level of bigotry, tyranny, greed, and misogyny in their everyday lives. They're no different from MAGA, and they just are more professionally able to hide it better. But the cracks are beginning to show. And for me, seeing how people on my timeline was hype about this Chris Brown Usher concert, I said, oh, we cool. The week before, folks that was out here hyping up Kanye West, cool. People are showing us who they are, and I have no choice but to believe them. But just because they're lowering their standards does not mean that I'm going to lower mine. It's not going to happen. So, bye-bye, Usher. It was good when it was good. But every dog has their day. Period. So, that's that. This week is going to be alpha week for me. I am, like, this Wednesday, I'm going to Atlantic City. I'm going to be going for the rest of the week. This past Sunday and next Sunday, there'll be no On the Record with Ernest Owens on 96.1 FM 900 AM Progressive Black Talk Media. Because there was a buyout this past week. There was another show. There was like a special edition show that came on last week's episode. This upcoming week, I won't be on air because I will be in Atlantic City, the Alpha Regional Conference. We're taking over AC. So just prepare for your timeline to be filled with Alpha swag, gear, all the things. This is my brother's first Alpha conference. So I'm in big brother mode, and also I'm a delegate, so I have to be in delegate mode. But this is his first conference, so I'm going to be unplugged all the way into making sure he gets very much so nestled into the larger, growing. And also my lit brother George, of course, is going to be there. So both of them are going to be experiencing Alpha. This is their first introduction to Alpha on the national grand scale. So I'm taking them to everything, showing them, introducing them to the general president, all the things. So we're gonna have a big old get together, big old to do. So it's gonna be really fun. And I'll be in Atlantic City all next week. So it's gonna take off. So wish me well. Check out the photos and everything like that. I'm keeping my eyes on what's happening in Philly, but it seems like Philly always like to get silly when I'm gone. So y'all behave yourselves. Don't do anything that I would do or wouldn't do. It depends. But behave yourselves. And, we should all be good. And as always, be well and be best. Ernestly Speaking is recorded in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and can be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. To stay up to date with the latest on the show, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Mr. Ernest Owens. Use the hashtag Ernestly Speaking to tell me what you thought about this episode, and check out my website at ernestowens.com.